Good morning, 5 o'clock now. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Our cold snap continues. It's 29 degrees now. We're headed to around 40 with sunshine today. And another deep freeze coming tonight. In the news, and we have breaking news just crossing the wires this morning. Israel says it has killed Iran's top security official, Ali Larijani. He's an influential figure described as an advisor to the late supreme leader. Iran has yet to confirm his death. Israel says it will continue hunting Iran's leaders. Well, yes, that was an EF1 tornado with winds between 86 and 110 miles per hour that hit Bonnertown in Lawrence County on Sunday night. 10 homes and 1 business destroyed. Nobody seriously injured. The National Weather Service is checking out claims now of a tornado in Murray County as well. These ladies spoke to Channel 4.
I was standing in the middle of the floor. It scared me to death. I was standing in the middle of the floor and it hit my windows shadow. I couldn't move. I was scared.
I thought it was going to implode. It felt like the house was breathing. So it was just vibrating and it felt like everything was going to suck into the house. I don't know how to explain it.
Now, roofs were ripped off some structures in Colombia, but again, nobody seriously injured. A trio of immigration bills passed the full House floor votes at the State House yesterday. One of them requires students to show documentation proving they're U.S. citizens. That sparked some rigorous debate.
Why would we spend $55 million when we already know that all kids have the right under our Constitution to attend school?
I hear that 87% of all statistics are made up on the spot, including the 55 million you just stated.
Another one of those bills makes it illegal to come to Tennessee if you're a person who has a final deportation order or if you've already been deported. The third bill requires the state, county, and local governments to verify that the people they're hiring have legal status to work in the U.S. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Major market indexes up in Monday trading. Wall Street's best day since U.S. and Israeli military action started in Iran. The Dow was up 388 points at Monday's close. S&P gained 67 points. The Nasdaq rose 269. Investors showing confidence after oil prices dipped Monday. Benchmark U.S. crude fell below $94 from $102 earlier in the morning. Airline CEOs posted an open letter to Congress in the Washington Post over the weekend urging Congress to restore funding for the Department of Homeland Security. Travelers are facing security delays as TSA employees go without pay. Airline chiefs are calling for Congress to pass legislation that would guarantee air traffic controllers and TSA officers get paid regardless of the government's funding status.
And stock futures this morning are pointing a bit lower. That's the latest news. Your traffic is next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Watch it this morning in on 40 westbound. 40 westbound right at Spence Lane. It appears that there may be an accident right there at Spence Lane. It's on I-40 West. Things are looking good otherwise on 2440 and on 65. And keep in mind that it's spring break time in Clarksville. Fewer buses on the roads. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.506, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends, and hope you are doing well. And welcome on in. And there is a lot of news. Joan, we just have this breaking news, very exciting news.
Yes, it is.
Actually, Israel is now claiming that they have killed Iran's security chief, Ali Larijani.
Well done.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Not as if either of us are Iranian and know how to pronounce, but
you know, the great
Larijani.
The great thing is, well, after this 15 seconds, we'll never have to talk about him again.
Never have to say it again.
There's
going to be
pretty
influential.
This guy, go ahead, talk about who he is.
Yeah. So let's see if I can find out some information. Read more about him. Okay, here we go. So this guy he was said to be an advisor to the supreme leader, the one that we dusted off in the first couple of days of the war. He was the Speaker of Iran's parliament for 12 years.
Yeah.
He led the what's called the principalist faction in parliament, described as a moderate conservative in recent years. He was Iran's chief nuclear negotiator between 2005 2007. He had a lot of roles in Iran's development through this very rigid political environment. And so his star kind of rose after the supreme leader was killed. He was doing a lot of the speech. You saw him a lot on TV after the supreme leader was killed.
I was reading about the initial attack.
Yeah.
I didn't save the story, but you used the term "dust it off," right?
Yeah.
So Philly Joan is coming out. And so I was reading one of their government officials. I don't know who it was, but apparently he was blown to such smithereens that they were like, there was just a couple of ounces left of him.
Oh.
I mean, there's like just enough human debris to get a DNA test, perhaps. So they're taking these guys out.
Yep.
And
Israel said, they're like, okay, who's next?
Next.
Yeah. They're going to go after every single leader until they're all gone.
That is the only way to do this.
Yeah.
Way to do this is gloves off.
Yeah.
I mean, they are the ones that came to the negotiations and they said, we have enough material to make 11 bombs, right? They're the ones that have been threatening America and Israel for, years, decades, actually. And so now, so FAFO, and this is now the situation that they find themselves in. There's a story out there today that, and this is, I don't know, CNN is saying this is breaking news. Donald Trump, there's a lack of enthusiasm to protect the Strait of Hormuz. That's what CNN is saying. We'll talk about that here in a minute. Donald Trump to postpone his trip to China amid the war in Iran. So President Trump obviously frustrated. We talked about this yesterday.
Hey, it's not a war. It's a conflict.
It's a conflict.
That's actually, he's not even calling it a conflict.
It's an excursion.
It's an excursion.
Yes.
I've got to write that down.
That's a Ford truck. What are you talking about?
I don't know. Okay, can I just say this? I don't know why he calls it an excursion. Like when I go on a cruise ship, I go on an excursion to go scuba diving.
Okay, that's true.
No. I mean, Sam is laughing at me. That's true.
Well, but
when you go on an excursion, you are having fun.
When you go on a cruise,
fairness,
you schedule excursions.
No boots on the ground. So for the most part, service members are on an excursion to a degree.
Anyway, I will call it an excursion. I'll call it a conflict. I'll call it whatever comes to my mind. But expecting me to remember the word excursion apparently is too much to ask at 5:11 in the morning. Anyway. All right, so where were we? So Donald Trump was supposed to get with China and UK and South Korea, all of these various countries to help us, open up the Strait of Hormuz. And apparently President Trump now is saying there's a lack of enthusiasm for that, which boggles my mind. So President Trump was going to say, hey, China, help us out, because really Iran and China, they're BFFs. They're kind of buds, if you know what I mean.
Yep.
And so Trump is like, all right, China, you're not going to help, then I'm not going to have the meeting with you at the end of the month to talk about tariffs or whatever else that they were going to talk about. So that is part of the conversation this morning as far as the war goes. And we were talking about, I don't know, all the leaders, the Ayatollah al-Khamenei, his son, is apparently in a coma. And he went off to, we talked about this yesterday.
And
he went
he's
off
gay.
to.
Sorry.
What'd you say?
What?
And he's gay. You didn't hear this?
Okay, so I heard Gary and Eric talking about how, but I didn't catch, they didn't like reset what the hell the topic was.
I'm sorry. It just sounded
So-
like Joan made a 8th grade insult. Like,
Yeah, and
That's
we're
the-
not saying gay in the modern way, like, oh, that's gay, like somebody's, something is dumb, like how the
No.
younger people use that term. This guy is actually
yeah.
like, they're saying that he's a homosexual.
He's a homosexual.
so
Okay.
they were all male goats then.
That probably.
Holy
boy.
moly. So I'm going to have to say this, Joan. So he's gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that.
There you go.
Unless you're in Iran, in which case they throw you off of buildings
That's
or
right.
hang you from cranes.
Right. And I think that was part of the calculus for why his father didn't think that he could be the next leader to follow him.
So where are we getting that he's gay?
Here
Look
we go.
this up.
From the New York Post.
Okay.
President Trump was stunned to learn last week that U.S. intelligence indicates new Iranian Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei may be gay, and that his father, the late Ayatollah, feared his suitability to rule the Islamic Republic for that reason. Trump couldn't contain his surprise and laughed out loud when he was briefed on the intel, according to sources. Here we go with sources again. Others in the room also found it hilarious and joined in the president's reaction, while one senior intelligence official has not stopped laughing about it for days.
I mean, the jokes just write themselves.
They do.
I didn't know that. I just, you're telling me now for the first time.
Is that actually Trump being asked about it?
No, that was Ruth Bader Ginsburg's death reaction.
Oh, okay.
But it's so fitting on so many other
well,
levels.
it is, because you got Tiny Dancer playing in the background. So you can see old, son of Ayatollah al-Khamenei tiny dancing around, I
Tiny
guess.
dancing.
I don't know what the hell. Anyway.
Oof.
Okay. Well, he's in a coma now, so he's not doing anyone or anything at the moment. And would they, I guess my question would be this. If he's gay, he comes out of the coma, then do all of these radical Islamic clerics follow a gay man?
So
I mean, I think that's a legit question. I'm not sort of wallowing in his gayness, if you will. I really don't care, except I do find,
It's
like
a
Donald Trump, I
legitimate-
find the whole thing kind of funny.
It's legitimate.
It is legitimate because of what they do to gay people in Iran.
Yes.
Video this morning, one of the gay rights activists, Mr. Should I call you Mr? Pepe Julian Onzima. Thank you for coming in.
This is how it'll go
Good
down
morning.
when he wakes up.
Why are you gay?
Famous Ugandan interview? No?
No, man.
No?
Nope.
Joan?
Yes, I've seen it.
Okay, thank
Yes.
Ugandan interview where somebody there in Uganda is gay?
So this is a reporter in Uganda, and he interviews a gay rights activist in Uganda. And the meme has gone so viral that he's been able to move to America and start a podcast.
No kidding.
I'm dead serious. And people just pay him to ask the question, why are you gay?
That is so fun. Well, whatever. I'll have to check into that. There's a reason why
And then Khomeini would respond something like this.
Who says I'm gay?
You are gay.
Can we just stop? See, you know what, Joan? You know what happens? And just so you people listening and watching, so you know what happens is Sam has a sense of humor for like a 20-year-old.
Yeah, no, I think it's more like a 13-year-old.
And Joan and I are just like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like we're all good bits go to die when Sam goes into his teenage self and he starts playing all the South Park kind of stuff.
It's in order to process the fact that the son of one of the most, notoriously dangerous people in the history of planet Earth is gay. There's nothing wrong with that. I find it somewhat funny given his faith.
But there is something wrong with that if you're in Iran.
Yeah,
the angle
it's
of the
ironic.
story that's missed here is that the supreme leader was a kind man. He didn't throw his son off of a roof.
There you go. There is that.
Yep.
He said you should just keep that under wraps.
Like the
turban.
robe?
I was going to say it's a turban joke.
Oh, I see.
I posted this. Whoever said you can't make this stuff up obviously never worked for CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, NBC, NPR, or The Washington Post.
Yeah. I don't think you missed anybody there.
Follow me on X at DanMandisShow. All right. Well, with all that, it is 5:17, late for traffic on WTN. Joan.
Yeah, there is a crash in Nashville this morning. It's on Burkett Road, west of Whitmore Lane. But their major roadways this morning are looking really good. No problems on 2440 or on 65. Traffic every 10 minutes, every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, Joan, I don't have the weather in front of me. If you could.
If I would do the honors of the weather, sure. We're looking at mostly sunny skies today, high up around 40 degrees. But you got to watch it because once again, tonight we'll get down below freezing. So that'll be a hard freeze once again. We're going to be in the 80s this weekend. Just keep your focus.
80s this weekend.
80s.
Okay, very good. We'll just wait for the...
Did you save the hydrangeas?
No. I have not cut my hydrangeas yet. I need to do that. And it sounds like I've got to do it before this weekend. Right, Joan?
If the buds are already showing, you can't do it.
There's no buds that are showing on the hydrangea bulbs, but there's things that are growing on the stems, if you will. Touch my knobs. No, but you stop it. I'm gonna put you in timeout.
You know what? You're gonna have to send me some photos.
Okay, very good. By the way, Joan flashed me this morning.
No,
it is 5:19.
No, you flashed me first.
So Joan comes in.
So call it Bud for Buds.
First.
So Joan comes in. Now, I had no idea, and we've got plenty of content. And for the first 15 minutes, it actually does count as content because we were talking about Iran and all that stuff. So that does count because the consultants, no doubt, are listening to this segment, Joan. So
clearly,
I come in, and Joan just, she opens up her sweater.
Oh, no.
Like literally flashes me.
Before that, you did your pants thing.
I lifted up my pant leg so that you could see my socks because you asked where was my green because apparently today is St. Patrick's Day. Now, I didn't know that today was St. Patrick's Day. Do you know why? Because I don't care.
Because you live under a rock?
I don't care about St. Patrick's Day. Oddly enough, though, as fate would have it, I am indeed, there is green on my socks.
I'm not giving it to you.
All right, so, see, undergarments don't count, though. Socks are undergarments.
Well, okay. I'm going to have to hear that from an actual Irishman because I have never heard that from anyone ever.
Mr. Rutherford.
Yeah.
Are you Irish?
Scotch-Irish, yep.
Oh, BS. Scott-Irishers don't count.
Yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, we do.
Now, the funny part of that whole conversation was that the green on my socks is in a pineapple.
Why would that be?
I'm wearing pineapple
He's
socks.
wearing pineapple socks.
You have a lot of pineapple-themed stuff, Mandis?
Of course, now people are going to think that I'm a swinger, which is a joke because, you know.
I put the photo of Dan's socks that he flashed me on my X account.
Oh.
At Joan Jones WTN. You can decide whether or not this is an actual wearing of the green.
You
posted
my
gosh. The socks aren't green. The top of the pineapple
Just the little tiny bit of the top of the pineapple.
No, sir, that does not count.
And you tagged me in it.
I did.
Oh, my goodness, Joan.
So then Dan looks at me and says, well, what are you wearing green?
Yeah.
So then I said,
then,
Dan, look.
what'd you do, Joan?
I'm doing it right now, Dan.
You
I'm
flashed me.
flashing.
Giggity. Anyway, the great thing about that photo of my sock is that you couldn't have cropped out the dirty A shoe that I'm wearing.
It was, and they look like old man shoes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you know what? I'm getting off on the wrong foot, literally, with both Sam and Joan this morning.
Did you get those out of the orthopedic section?
You couldn't have cropped it, could you, Joan? You couldn't have cropped it. You had to leave the orthopedic sneaker in.
Cropping it would have zoomed in on the fact that the socks are navy blue.
And all they have is a tiny piece of thread at the top of the pineapple to make it.
And you have to pull your ankle end of your pant up, so then it's not even plainly visible. It's like you're asking to get pinched.
I am liking both of you less and less as the minutes tick
Someone
by.
is going to grab the Dan buds and give them a twist today.
There are questions about why pineapples.
Yeah, Dan. Why pineapples?
Dan, do you have an answer for us?
No.
Dan.
But if you're asking if I'm like one of those swinger type people,
Yeah.
no. I can't even get lucky. I can't even get lucky in my own house with my own wife most of the time. So I'm not going to burden anybody else with that burden. Anyway. I don't know why I have pineapple socks. I'm going to be honest with you. I've had them for years, and I don't know why or where I got pineapple socks.
Did you get them, at a discount at the counter when you brought the orthopedic shoes?
No. Those are, by the way, those are Black Brooks sneakers. Those are, at one time, those were pretty cool about 10 years ago. Anyway, it is.
Oof. So was being a moderate. That was also cool about 10 years ago.
Anyway, so if you want to, I believe that gets a pass on green for, and by the way, if either one of you are thinking that you want to pinch me, I pick Joan.
Also, somebody asked 2115, are those hush puppies?
Anyway.
Thank you, 2115.
So if I'm going to get pinched today, I don't want it to be Sam.
My hands are rather massive. I would not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm going to ask Chris Hand to do it on surprise. You won't know when. You'll see him passing in the hallway and just circling.
Let's be honest. There's two things that have never happened to me in my life.
Yeah.
Number one, I've never stood under a mistletoe and gotten kissed by someone. And number two, I've never actually gotten pinched for not wearing green on St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, we're crossing one of those off that list.
We live in some dangerous times with human resources and all that. So if I'm going to get pinched, it better be by a hot chick. Then I'll let it go.
Well, your wife is pretty hot. I suggest.
Refer to my comment from earlier, Joan. Anyway.
Yes. I'm so sorry.
So if I get Chris Hand to wear a Chick-fil-A T-shirt in here, is that going to count?
No, that doesn't count. But that's a good play on words. Anyway, so yeah.
Another listener said every time they hear the word pineapple, the theme from SpongeBob SquarePants comes to mind.
Not to me.
No. I will ever, and we've talked about this before. When I lived in West Haven, in Franklin, apparently they had a whole swingers thing going on in West Haven, and I was absolutely clueless. When I lived there, I had no idea that there was a whole swinging club in West Haven. Had no idea. I lived there for like, a year and a half? Did you buy your socks when you were there?
I may have.
Oh, boy.
I may have. But it doesn't count because if you're trying to...
Please tell me it wasn't from a thrift store.
If you're trying to attract swingers, you wouldn't wear pineapple socks. You would wear a pineapple shirt or a pineapple hat.
Well, all you would do is lift up your pants and flash someone your pineapple socks.
You know what? If I'm wanting to be a swinger, the last thing I'm going to flash is my socks.
Some people are into feet, though.
Those are the people I would not want to swing with. I just want to make that perfectly clear. I'm not a foot person.
Oh, then which people do you want to swing with?
Yeah, Dan. That means there's a portion of the population that are eligible.
Whatever. You know what? Again, no, not my deal. Not my thing. I only like to disappoint one woman at a time. Thank you. We should probably move on. Anyway, it
How
is.
do we get started off this way today? It's just a Tuesday.
Yeah, it is, but it is also St. Patrick's Day. Now, have you ever been, just real quick, you ever pinched somebody, Joan, for St. Patrick's Day?
I did not. No.
Sam will pinch anybody for any reason, including St. Patrick's Day. Don't want to go there. Anyway, it is 5:26 on WTN, and Joan's got the news coming up at 5:30. Joan.
Yeah, it was an EF1 tornado now confirmed in Lawrence County. Also, a compromise of sorts on inappropriate books in Rutherford County libraries. We'll tell you about it at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning, now 5:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. It'll be sunny, around 40 degrees today, but it gets back below freezing again tonight. In the news, the NWS Nashville is confirming an EF1 tornado caused damage in Lawrence County on Sunday night, packing winds between 86 and 110 miles an hour. Meantime, residents at a heavily damaged apartment complex in Columbia also spoke to Channel 4.
And it just started to vibrate. The windows, the door, everything was vibrating. It was howling. I can't even describe it. We heard the glass shatter, and it was over quick.
I thought I was finna leave here. It was bad. Just tore up everything out here.
The National Weather Service is working to determine if that, too, was a tornado. President Trump's still working the phones, trying to get other countries to help guard the Strait of Hormuz. So far, the UK and Germany are not showing much support.
I was very surprised with the United Kingdom.
More than 2 weeks after he launched the war in Iran without those allies. The president claimed the UK was unwilling to help in the beginning. President Trump said the UK is now offering aircraft carriers, but that he told them it's too late.
I said, I don't want them anymore. I don't want them after we win. I want them before we start. I don't need your aircraft carriers after we've already won.
And Germany is refusing to send help for the Strait of Hormuz, saying, quote, it's not our war.
That's ABC correspondent James Longman. And in Rutherford County, they're not getting rid of inappropriate books for kids, but the library board did decide to move 190 books out of the children's sections and into the adult section of its libraries. That move comes after heated debate from residents on both sides of that issue. That is the latest news. Stick around for your traffic next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Looking good on the major roads. Minor delays on 24 West just starting to stack up now. Things look good if you're traveling 40 and 65. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.537 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to you, friends, and welcome on into a Tuesday, March 17th, apparently St. Patty's Day. And so take that under account. There's a lot of news going on today. That is where we are going to start. We've got a Daily Dan poll up that's turned into like a once a week kind of a poll, maybe if we remember. Watch us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, 99.7WTN.com. Do you care about the Iran war? That's the question. Do you care about the Iran war? I've got some video, if we could, Sam. So Harry Enton has a new segment out, and this was yesterday. And the question was posed: do the American people care about the Iran war?
But so far, there's kind of been a little bit of a collective shrug from the American public. What am I talking about here? Well, let's just take a look here. Americans who say they care a lot about the Iranian situation, look at this. It's just 45%. Just 45% of Americans say they care a lot about the situation going on in Iran. Compare that to the U.S. economy, which, of course, is the #1 issue right now in this country. We're talking 84%.
So that is, Harry Enton. Now, are you surprised by that, Joan? Only 45% care about the Iran war?
Yeah, I am concerned about that. I feel like everybody has an opinion about it.
I don't know. And I guess what they don't get into in this segment is, okay, so what does it mean about people not necessarily caring about the excursion in Iran or the conflict or the war, whatever it is that you want to say? But, I will say this. That when it comes to, I can explain it. Joan, you can explain it. Sam can explain it. People listening can explain why the Iranian war is important. But, we live in this, and I'm going to sound a little braggadocious here, but we live in this bubble, if you will, of talk radio where we talk about these things. And we enjoy talking about these things. And I enjoy sharing them with you and hearing your opinions and everything else. So clearly, we are, and this audience is part of that 45%. The reality, though, Joan, is that right now, there's a lot of people out there that are very, very, very much struggling. And so that is why 84% are talking about the economy and care more about the economy because that hits them in the pocketbook right now. Obviously, the war in Iran is also impacting pocketbooks as well when it comes to, say, for example, the price of gasoline. But you know what I noticed? Conservatives out there are talking about how this is a huge blow for Democrats in their narrative, right? Because people don't care about the war. And the Democrats have been trying really hard to hang Donald Trump on the war, thinking that it would kill the Republicans in the midterms. And so the Republicans, the conservatives online are saying this is that blow to the Democrats because guess what? People don't care about the war. Therefore, it won't impact Donald Trump or the midterm elections. But as a conservative and as somebody who is a Donald Trump supporter, Democrats also have a victory here because you could also say that Donald Trump is spending a lot of political capital and a lot of blood and a lot of treasure on an issue that the American people don't really care about. So both sides here have some talking points, but, here we are, and we talked about this before the war even started. Here we are trying to get our economy where it needs to be, and now we are engaged in a battle in Iran. A lot of folks could say that, we're focused on something that most people in America simply don't care about, Iran, and not focused on what really matters, which is the war, now, which is the economy. Now, I will say that we can all, chew gum and walk at the same time. We can do that, and so can Donald Trump. But the perception, I think we spoke to Matthew Hurd about this yesterday, as a matter of fact. The reality is that the perception will be and is that Trump is engaged in this conflict when he should be focused more on your money, on the American economy. So this is something, and obviously we are all experiencing this. The rise in gas prices means that it is negatively impacting our economy, which is what most people truly care about. So the question is, what impact will this have on President Trump's approval ratings? Surprisingly, not much. Listen.
Perhaps it's not so much of a surprise when just 45% of Americans say they care a lot about the Iranian situation, that the president's overall approval rating is the same. It's the same. It was 41% before the current war in Iran started, and it is 41% now. So despite, again, all the hubbub, despite all the critics of the president of the United States, what we are seeing right now is a president whose approval rating is steady, and this has not been a big deal politically.
I think part of that is because most people who are Donald Trump supporters understand what the president is doing. I get what the president's doing. I still have a lot of concerns, but I do understand what the president is doing. My approval of Donald Trump has not gone down. Although what is interesting is that there have been some people who have reached out to me and said they no longer support Donald Trump because of this excursion into Iran. So the question again is, how will this impact your money? We all know that gas prices have been going up. We did the Daily Dan poll. You put it up. So in the first 2 or 3 minutes, what are people saying on the YouTube chat?
91% say yes, they care.
So I'll keep covering the Iranian excursion.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I could. You make a point about the economy and people zoning out. I think it's a generational thing. I think the millennials, we remember as kids Iraq and Afghanistan, and remember those conflicts, and there's a level of numbness of, all right, well, here we go again.
Sure.
Britney Spears is back in jail. We're back in the Middle East fighting. So it's borderline nostalgic. So it's why so much we don't care.
What'd you say about Britney Spears?
Britney Spears back in jail.
Is she in jail?
She was for DUI.
Oh, all right.
So, Britney's arrested again. We're fighting the Middle East. It's 2001 all over again.
Well, understood. Hopefully we won't get hit by a terror attack, but if you wanted to expand out, we've been hit by 4 terror attacks since this whole thing started, right? So part of this issue, of course, it's all about the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, it's been effectively closed. 20% of the world's oil goes through the Strait of Hormuz. And as we've been talking about the last couple of days now, Donald Trump has been hitting the phones trying to get some help. I love what he said yesterday. This is audio only. I love what the president said yesterday. I don't know if you saw this about France.
Have you been speaking with the French President Macron about the coalition to reopen the Strait of Hormuz?
Yeah, I have spoken to him. He's been on a scale of 0 to 10. I'd say he's been an 8. Not perfect, but it's France.
Are you
we don't expect perfect.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen the actual video. I wish I had the actual video, but I could only get the audio. But, Trump, genuine smile when he laughs, when he's basically saying, we really don't expect much from France. And the president not expecting much from Emmanuel Macron. He doesn't have a great relationship with a lot of these other world leaders. Sadly, I think they eye roll him a bit. I think that they side-eye Donald Trump a bit. But, he does push them. And he did say something interesting at this press conference where it does seem like he is willing to go it alone.
We don't need anybody. We're the strongest nation in the world. We have the strongest military by far in the world. We don't need them. But it's interesting. I'm almost doing it in some cases, not because we need them, but because I want to find out how they react. Because I've been saying for years that if we ever did need them, they won't be there. Not all of them, but they won't be there.
Right. So the president is trying to make a point. The point that the president is trying to make, apparently, is, all right, so let's see who really is willing to step up and help. And according to CNN this morning, there's not a lot of enthusiasm to help President Trump. I think that there's a lot of these nations out there that believe that Donald Trump started this, and now he's going to have to deal with it. And so if President Trump, if he truly believes that we don't need any help, then apparently we're going to have to prove that we don't need any help. From the Wall Street Journal, President Trump listed those nations, Japan, South Korea, the UK, China, France, and others, among those that he hopes will help the U.S. secure the waterway. But as we reported when we first came on this morning, the president has now decided that he will not be going to see China at the end of the month. Finally, the president spoke a little bit about the NATO countries as well, not willing to help.
And we spend a lot of money on, NATO and all of these things to protect you. I mean, we're protecting them. We're working with them on Ukraine. Ukraine's thousands of miles away, separated by a vast ocean. We don't have to do that, but we did it. Well, Biden did it. I mean, I have to be honest with you. Biden got taken to the cleaners. But we worked with them in Ukraine. We don't need to work with them in Ukraine. And then they tell us that we have a mine ship around, and they don't want to do it. I think it's terrible.
2626 says, being a combat vet, it's not an excursion. They call it a campaign so they don't have to pay us hazard pay. No, I don't know if that's true or not. The super text line at times has been known to be wrong, but that is what 2026 said. I do find this quote interesting from 8602. Shame on Americans who don't care that we destroyed a regime that threatened to destroy us. And that is a fair point. There's all kinds of different reactions to this. You know what I'm finding is that with the exception that the Democrats, and I'm finding a lot of differences amongst Republicans and conservatives these days. I don't know if you've noticed, but whether we're talking about Epstein now with this excursion campaign, whatever you want to call it, this war going on in Iran, there's a lot of a disagreement within MAGA. There was one person, I don't know who it was, some sort of no other way to say this, a very attractive MAGA influencer, a female, who apparently is very influential in the MAGA movement. And she was actually saying, I don't support MAGA anymore. I don't even recognize Donald Trump. I don't know what the heck he's doing. There are people like that. You've got people like Tucker Carlson. You've got people like Candace Owens. And obviously, we know that there is a very rich divide within the conservative movement there as well. So whether we're talking about the war in Iran, whether we're talking about Epstein, there's probably other things that what am I missing here, Sam? So those are the two big disagreements right now. There's the Save America Act. That's 3. So there's a lot of disagreements right now within the Republican Party. Now, the Democrats, literally the only Democrat who is, making a lick of sense, of course, is John Fetterman, the senator from Pennsylvania, Democrat who, the farther away he gets from that coma or the stroke that he had, the more sense that he makes. But other than John Fetterman, the Democrats are united in just being united against anything that Donald Trump is trying to do. And it's got to be really so easy to be a Democrat these days if you're not John Fetterman. All you've got to do is oppose what Donald Trump does. But I think those are the two. And Joan, you can join in. Are there any other disagreements that I'm missing amongst MAGA? You've got the Save America Act. Yeah. You've got the filibuster, right, which is in that vein.
Oh, yeah.
You've got the war in Iran, and you've got Epstein. Those are the three big, those are massive disagreements that are going on right now. Am I missing one? Super Texter 615-737-9986. No New Wars 7240 says he went to the WTN YouTube page and says, as a Trump voter who voted because he ran on no new wars and a booming economy, well, here we are with an economy not quite where it needs to be. Gas prices are going up, even though the oil prices went down yesterday. We'll see where they land today. But the economy's not where it needs to be. And we are talking about, even though we're not calling it a war, Donald Trump ran on no new wars. If you're going to take him literally and at his word and what he campaigned on, then you would be correct perhaps in saying that he started a new war. But I understand why he did it.
Well, and it's probably to prevent something even worse. If we're being honest, I get there's a lot of people that have heard the political rhetoric from Iran and thinking that there's some way to come to the table. But when you look at the ideology at its core, the truest nature of Islam in this aspect, there is no negotiating with these people. They're going to want to have a nuclear device that they can harm themselves and millions of other people with. It's got to be dealt with like a cancer. You got to just go in and cut it out. And as painful as a process as that is for people to adjust to, it's what's got to happen.
That's absolute truth. And we've been talking about that, and Iran has been threatening Israel and us for years and years. And again, not to belabor the point, but they went into the negotiation saying that they had enough material to make 11 bombs, Joan.
So Super Texter says, 5711 says, we also have disagreements over the war on ICE. So, there are some that say that,
Do we have a disagreement on ICE?
I think that there are
I
some
support ICE.
Republicans.
Don't most conservatives support ICE?
I think so.
People are a little worn out on it, and I can understand that, especially when you get berated by your liberal friends saying, but human rights, due process.
Well, your liberal friends can go to hell. I'm just, with all due respect to people who are liberal, if that's where they want to go, that's all fine and well. But we've been sitting here as conservatives watching Americans killed and raped by illegal aliens, and that's who they are going after. Now, if they want to talk about the death of Renee Good, the death of Alex Preddy, we could talk about that. There's certainly a debate there. We could also talk about whether or not Trump and ICE is going after people who don't have violent criminal records. And there's the accusation that he is just going after people who are here illegally because they let their visas expire or whatever it is. And so we're sort of over-deporting. We're over-deporting people. I don't know if that's true or not. I tend to be very hardcore on deportations. If you're here illegally, if you let your visa expire, if you've committed a crime, if you've been partaking in immigration fraud, out you go. No America for you.
Well, and if you get a speeding ticket and you have a court date and you don't go, they put out a bench warrant for you to make you go in front of the judge.
Yeah.
So it's not any more of a gross violation of someone's rights as it is a failure for them to understand the privileges that come with being here and the respect that those need to have, obviously, to stay. Right. No other country is going to go, oh, your visa's expired. Well, we'll just let you stay until you get that sorted out. No, they will arrest you and deport you themselves. Doesn't matter. All first world nations are like that.
Kevin says, Iran, and I quote, we have material to make 11 nuclear bombs. That has been documented many times. And so when you go in with that attitude and you're dealing with a country like Iran, who obviously they are funding terrorism, they partake in terrorism. And so this is a country that built a lot of those roadside bombs that killed and maimed a lot of our veterans in Afghanistan. So I'm sorry, but this is a situation where I understand where Donald Trump is going with Iran. I understand where Donald Trump is going with ICE. I do get it that there's a conversation to be had. But those are the big disagreements within the Republican Party. It is 5:54 on Super Talk 99.7. Joan's got the news coming up at 6. Joan.
Yes, some shocking new details about the explosion at AES as that investigation continues. It's coming up here at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning. It's now 6 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. In the news this morning, new information about that explosion at munitions company AES in October. WSMV4's Hunter Hoagland on what investigators are saying about their findings.
Investigators now say the explosive started inside a building where workers were making commercial explosive charges. We've just learned here tonight that that building where this all happened did not have any working sprinklers or fire protection systems.
About 23,000 pounds of explosive material detonated, and that blast was powerful enough to be registered as an earthquake. Immigration and Customs Enforcement will likely appeal a judge's decision to grant a $10,000 bond to Estefany Rodriguez. She's that Spanish-speaking TV reporter detained by ICE last week for overstaying her work visa for the past 5 years. Her husband, Alejandro make that Medina.
As a heartbroken and worried husband, I'm hoping and praying that Estefany comes home soon and we're able to proceed with the adjustments of status process for her to become a permanent resident and eventually a citizen.
Now, he was reading that statement. It's not clear who wrote it for him. Rodriguez is still being detained. ICE considers her a flight risk. How'd you like to get your hands on a college campus for free? The guy who founded Whistle Pig Whiskey is giving away the former Green Mountain College in Vermont. Raj Peter Baca, he's the former apprentice contestant. He was fired by Donald Trump. He bought it out of auction for $4.5 million in 2021. It was a victim of COVID. Now he wants to give it away, but there is a catch, a condition. He says whoever takes control of that campus must share his cultural mission to return to our Christian roots. He wants to give it to a Catholic or a Christian organization who will help to lead a revival. He says it's worth fighting for. Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com.
Talk futures pointing to a lower open on Wall Street as the war in Iran keeps oil prices around $100 a barrel. That's raising the cost of running those big rigs that carry everything from food to the gas we put in our own cars. The average price for a gallon of diesel is now top $5 for just the second time ever. Gas Buddy says the last time was in December of 2022, just after the start of the war in Ukraine. Peloton may be pedaling into a gym near you. The exercise equipment company is introducing its first bikes and treadmills specifically designed for the heavy use equipment that it can get in a public gym. And Krispy Kreme is going green for St. Patrick's Day today. The donut chain has brought back its green original glazed donuts and adding 4 more holiday donuts to the menu. I'm Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Wonder if you have to wear green in order to get those green donuts.
Oh, Joan.
Stock futures are all pointing down this morning. That is the latest news. We've got your traffic next. I'm Joan Jones, wearing green, WTN News. No accidents so far this morning, but it is starting to slow down westbound 24 if you're traveling starting in the Laverne area this morning. Looks like it's just minor delays as you're traveling on 65 headed southbound as well. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.606 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends and welcome on in to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. There is a lot of news to get to this morning. It's not all about the excursion or the war or the conflict in Iran. There's a lot of other things going on, which I do want to get to. And there's just, this is, Joan, I'm going to be honest, yesterday, I went home kind of shame spiraling because it was my first show back from vacation, and I didn't think it went very well. And the reason I didn't feel like it went very well is because I didn't like the news yesterday. The news cycle yesterday I don't know. I didn't like it.
Well, that's not your fault.
No, but you know what I do.
Yeah,
I too blame the content cycle, Dan.
Do you blame the content cycle?
I do.
Hey, by the way, you know that Nick Shirley is in California. Did you see that he has now dropped a new video?
Oh, no.
He has dropped the new video, and I've linked to it on my X feed at DanMandisShow. We have J.D. Vance now, the vice president. He is now going to be the fraud czar, and I can't think of a better guy to be the fraud czar than J.D. Vance. This was Donald Trump, and by the way, we do have video for all of the audio that we are playing this morning. If you watch us on Super Talk TV, we are on all the socials. You can see all of us in our St. Patrick's Day glory. Now, this is Donald Trump talking about the fraud that we have seen here in America, particularly when it comes to the Somalian fraud.
Everyone knows they've been cheating for years. It's the first ever. And it's got to be stopped. I mean, it's got to be stopped. Think of it, Somalia is a third world, maybe a fourth world nation. One of the worst, one of the most dangerous. They don't have anything. They don't have councils. They don't have government. They don't have police. They shoot each other all over the place. They come here and they steal $19 billion. That's crazy.
I hate to fact check Donald Trump, Joan. It's a lot more than $19 billion.
Oh, yeah.
It is a lot more than $19 billion. By the way, CNN, White House says it has rejected Iran's efforts to restart talks. Okay, so this is going to be one of those days I'm going to be bouncing between topics, clearly, apparently. So in the news today, there was, and I'm sure you saw this, Joan, where this morning there was a story where the White House was miffed because there was a report that Iran had been ghosting the White House, where the White House was trying to reach out to Iran, and Iran was sort of, talk to the hand, if you will.
Yeah.
And so then this is what drives me crazy. Then there was another story that showed that, Donald Trump and Steve Witkoff and others within the Trump administration have now a path for forward communication with Iran. And now we have the story that was just up on CNN where it says that the Trump administration is rebuffing attempts by Iran to restart talks. So I don't know what's the truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We've got three stories that are all contradicting each other.
Yeah.
And so then you wonder, okay, so how long is this war going to last? I have no idea. There's a story yesterday. I read a lot of stories that I don't always incorporate into the show, but I read a story yesterday. They're talking about how this thing could last until September with ground troops and the whole thing. So we don't know. Then Donald Trump yesterday said we're close to seeing an end to the Iranian excursion. Anyway, back to the fraud. This is Donald Trump talking about fraud and his new fraud czar, which is J.D. Vance.
And Ilhan Omar, I hope this is part of it, but she married her brother, supposedly. I mean, there's a lot of documentation. That means she's here illegally and she's a congresswoman. And I hope you're going to be looking at that, or somebody is, all right? Because she's one of the ringleaders here. She's bad news, really bad news. She's so bad for our country.
So he was, of course, looking to his left, to J.D. Vance, and saying, you're going to look at that, right, J.D.? The Ilhan Omar married her brother bit. Here's the deal. If she did marry her brother to ensure that he can stay in the country, then she did commit. I don't know how serious of immigration fraud that is, but it does seem like that would be pretty serious immigration fraud. If that happens, then she goes through the process of possibly denaturalization, and she would be kicked out of the country. Do you know what I would find interesting? This is Ilhan Omar, and this is her on the prospect of getting kicked out of the country.
I mean, I have no worry. I don't know how they take away my citizenship and like deport me, but I don't even know like why that's such a scary threat. Like, I'm not the 8-year-old who escaped war anymore. I'm grown. My kids are grown. Like, I can go live wherever I want.
All right, so here's my question. Let's do a Daily Dan poll just amongst the three of us. Joan, Sam, do you think that if Ilhan Omar was kicked out of America because she married her brother, and so that she ended up getting, the due process, and then it was denaturalized and she had to leave America, do you think that she would go back and live in her beloved Somalia?
I think not.
I don't think she'd get the chance to. Because
what do you mean?
Marriage fraud can carry criminal charges.
Oh.
Up to 5 years in federal prison and fines up to $250,000 under statutes like 8 U.S.C. 1325 or 18 U.S.C. 1546.
Okay, look at you going all
both parties,
law book.
Both parties can face prosecution, actually. So the brother could also be charged, potentially convicted, and sentenced to federal prison.
The brother is living now in the UK.
Ooh, good thing we have extradition.
So, yeah, I don't know. Hey, can I just say this about that? Because I know that this is a favorite topic of conservatives, right? Ilhan Omar married her brother. So if that is the case, then let's get on with it. Either get on with it or shut up about it. Like that's kind of where I'm at with a lot of this stuff, where you hear all of these rumors and all of these accusations. Did she or didn't she? And quit talking about it if you're not going to do something about it. That would be my message. And maybe this whole fraud czar thing that Donald Trump is doing with J.D. Vance, maybe this is going to be part of that put up or shut up. Let's truly look at whether or not Ilhan Omar married her brother. If she did, then she's got to face the consequences. If she didn't, well, then quit talking about it because you're losing credibility.
Well, if she didn't and there was blatant proof of that, I feel like at this point she would have sued for defamation. She would have at least initiated the process, right? Like, you're out there saying I married my brother. There's zero proof of it.
You know what? She's probably afraid of the discovery.
Exactly, Bill. And according to Grok, that this is something that should have been detected during the USCIS scrutiny interviews. There should be so someone there may have helped them with some kind of cover up and a paper trail,
right,
to make that happen. And she's not worried also because she's worth $30 million now. So
oh yeah, I can think you can buy a pretty good little shack in Somalia. You could probably buy Somalia for $30 million.
Probably buy a little private militia, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nick Shirley is California dreaming. Again, Donald Trump kicking off his fraud task force. And by the way, talking about Somalia and Somalia Soda and Tim Waltz and Keith Ellison and all things Somali pirates. When Donald Trump is talking about what he wants to do as it relates to a lot of this fraud, he does say, and everybody knows, that this is something that has been taking place in Minnesota.
It's a very important whole-of-government approach to tackle the fraud problem. And let me just tell one story. One of the things that even before this executive order was signed that we were able to stop under the president's leadership is we saw evidence that in Minneapolis there were Somalis, primarily illegal immigrants, who were defrauding a Medicaid program that was meant to go to autistic children. So they were taking children who were supposed to get benefits and they were claiming that their kids were actually autistic even though they weren't. And what did this mean? This meant two things. Number one, you had a lot of people getting rich off of the fraud while American citizens got poorer. And the second thing that it meant is that you had autistic kids in Minneapolis, in suburban Minneapolis, who weren't getting benefits they needed because Somali fraudsters were literally stealing out of their pocket. It's got to stop. And unfortunately, that kind of fraud is one example of probably hundreds just within the state of Minneapolis, and then it's repeated and replayed all over the United States of America. When we first started talking about this problem, the president made it very clear he wanted us to take the fraud problem seriously because nobody had.
And listen, J.D. Vance is absolutely right. Nobody had taken it seriously. Even in Minnesota, you had the governor, you had the attorney general, obviously Ilhan Omar, people that were in charge and who could have stopped it, didn't, even though there were whistleblowers. And so I love the fact that Donald Trump is taking it seriously. We have, of course, we've been well documenting all of this. Just to recap, you had the governor, Tim Walz, Kamala's pick to be VP, the AG, Keith Ellison, others. And they just stood by while billions of dollars were stolen from federal taxpayers. You had non-existent medical offices. You had non-existent medical transport companies. And, of course, these essentially non-existent child care facilities. And they had no kids. And they were charging the government like all of this was legit. It was absolute insanity. Now, it did cost Tim Walz his career. Keith Ellison took money from these gangsters as well. He is unrepentant. And J.D. Vance is obviously correct. The rampant fraud was really at a shocking scale. Not only are we talking about immigration fraud in Minnesota, but Medicare fraud as well. And the politicians in Minnesota who went along with it. And a lot of folks are saying this is just the tip of the iceberg. It is 6:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather for today, well, it's cold right now. It's going to get up to about 40 degrees today and mostly sunny skies. We just got to get to the 40 degrees. I guess it's going to be about 80 degrees this weekend. Apparently, that's what Joan is telling me. So looking forward to that. But between now and this weekend, it is going to be cold. Now, it is not cold in California, where it's always warm, but that is where Nick Shirley is, and that is where he has discovered a ton of fraud. Now, obviously, everybody knows the story of Nick Shirley, this YouTuber, where he is doing the work that mainstream media simply refuses to do. And so now he has dropped a new video based in California, based in Los Angeles County, where he is looking at a few different things: hospice and daycare facilities. Now, his new video, again, you can find the link on my X feed at DanMandisShow. But Nick Shirley's new video opens up with Nick and a big old fancy BMW that somebody bought with hospice money.
This is the sound of hospice money. Could you just answer the question, what's the need for a 1,000% increase in hospice care here inside of LA? Do you have the paperwork to enroll a little boy by the name of Joey?
You don't know what's going on?
Well, it said there's 14 children enrolled here on the state of California. That there's $6,000 per beneficiary. Can you give us any explanation? Where can we open a hospice at?
So you heard that last clip. Where can we open a hospice at? So you have in that opening clip what looks like a Somalian woman operating a fraudulent daycare. And California is just riddled with immigration fraud, riddled with people ripping off the system. Now, there's a couple of things going on, and they're all interconnected. Donald Trump, executive order, taking a look at fraud and making J.D. Vance the fraud czar. That's number one. Number two, you have Nick Shirley on the same day that Donald Trump is refocusing on fraud. Nick Shirley dropping this video on the fraud in Los Angeles, in California, where Gavin Newsom just happens to be the governor, and he clearly is going to be running for president. And who is the fraud czar for the Trump administration? That is J.D. Vance. So you're pitting J.D. Vance, who will obviously eventually get involved with the fraud that Nick Shirley is uncovering in California. And the question is, will Gavin Newsom be wrapped up in a lot of this fraud?
California may have the largest amount of fraud in the country, as California is the state with the highest taxes and collects more money than any other state in America. It is filled with fraud. California's version of Medicaid, called Medi-Cal, has more than doubled since 2022 from $108 billion to a proposed $222 billion in 2026. Their population, however, has not grown exponentially. However, their spending has.
Yep. Now, the graphic on the screen shows there may be as much as $250 billion in fraud in California. Now, a few things. Gavin Newsom and the California state legislature, they've now expanded Medi-Cal so that illegal aliens are eligible for that state-funded program. But the point is that this is going on in California. They are spending billions and billions of dollars on benefits. And you heard that right. $108 billion 4 years ago. That is now $222 billion. That is absolute insanity. So, Gavin Newsom, with his slick line of BS, will try to talk his way out of this. But it seems to me that the numbers don't lie.
There has been a 1,000% increase in hospice care in the Los Angeles County. In fact, 1 out of every $10 of home health care in America is spent in Los Angeles. On top of that, their government-funded daycare programs are filled with violations. While they continue to give money to these fraudsters, it is estimated that the fraud in California could be in the hundreds of billions of dollars. In this video, we'll be going face to face with these fraudsters, confronting them as they defraud the American taxpayer out of millions.
Yep, out of millions and billions of dollars. Nick Shirley, and again, you've got about $250 billion of that fraud in California. And again, the reason why this is such an important story is that it does show the competence or lack thereof of one Gavin Newsom. Remember that Gavin Newsom going to be running for president in 2028. All of this happening under his watch. So just like Tim Walz, could this eventually take down Gavin Newsom? Time will tell. It is 6:23 on Super Talk 99.7. Joan's got the news coming up at 6:30. Joan.
A bill has just moved through the state legislature, and it's on its way to the Senate now. It would require schools to do a little homework on the students they've got in their classrooms. We'll explain at 6:30 coming up here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. Dan Mandis here. My place for furniture and appliances, DT McCall's. I've bought both appliances and furniture from DT McCall's, and they can help you as well. They're always looking for ways to save you money. Check out their website right now, dtmccalls.com. First thing I do when something breaks in my house or when I decide that I need a new appliance or a piece of furniture, I go to dtmccalls.com. You need a washing machine. They've got the GE Energy Star Ultra Fast Combo right now. With a rebate, you are going to save $800. It is now March, and that means that you might need a new barbecue. Well, at DT McCall's, they've got the best barbecues around. Louisiana Grills, they've got great prices for all budgets. And again, if you've got a room to fill, they can help with all of the best brands of sectionals for the living room, recliners as well, bedroom suites and dining room furniture. All of the above at DT McCall's. Great prices and outstanding customer service. Remember, they have as many of their items made right here in the state of Tennessee as possible. They've been around for 4 generations. DT McCall's, 100 years of treating people right. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee: Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin. Always online. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. dtmccalls.com. 629 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Staying on Gavin Newsom, just really quickly, he has been saying that he was diagnosed at the age of 5 with some learning disabilities. Gavin Newsom, dyslexia is what he says that he was diagnosed with. Again, at the age of 5. Donald Trump was asked about that during yesterday's press conference.
Because Gavin Newsom has admitted that he has learning disabilities. Honestly, I'm all for people with learning disabilities, but not for my president. I think a president should not have learning disabilities, okay? And I know it's highly controversial to say such a horrible thing. The president of the United States, Gavin Newsom, admitted that he has learning disabilities, dyslexia, everything about him is dumb. But then he looked at the audience and said, but smarter than you, or something like that. That was pretty similar. So now, on top of everything else, I call him a racist because it happened to be a black audience. I will tell you this. I think it was the worst interview I've ever seen of any human being in my life, okay?
So that is Donald Trump talking about Gavin Newsom and the learning disabilities. And, I think that Joe Biden was clearly a walking, I don't know if I'd say it's a learning disability, but clearly he had some disabilities of the head with that cognitive decline that the media simply refused to acknowledge. It is 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's now 6:30. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. And House Bill 793 passed in the Tennessee legislature yesterday. It's on its way now to the Senate. News Channel 5's Patsy Montecitos.
The bill requires public schools to request immigration or citizenship documents from all students.
We must know how many illegal immigrants are in the schools so that we can properly apply the funds that we have.
Under the bill, schools would tally how many kids are U.S. citizens and how many can't prove their legal status. Those numbers, so no names or addresses, would be shared with the state.
Remember, data and facts are never something that we should be afraid of.
Democrats complain that they are blocked from getting statistics on the school voucher program. 3 Republicans voted with the Democrats yesterday. We'll get more on all of this with State Representative Scott Sapicki. He's joining Dan in just a couple of moments. The Iranian leader who threatened President Trump last week has been killed in an overnight strike. Ali Larijani was head of the Supreme National Security Council. Last week, he said about President Trump, quote, "Watch out for yourself, lest you should be eliminated." Israel claims to have killed him. Larijani was one of the 10 Islamic Republic officials with a $10 million bounty placed on his head Friday by the State Department's Rewards for Justice program. An 11-year-old girl has been reported missing from her home in Winchester. Michiko Fioraya is listed as missing or a runaway. She's white, 5'2", weighing 155 pounds. With black hair, brown eyes, she was wearing a gray jacket, pink shirt, and jeans. Now, anyone with information about her is asked to call the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. That is the latest news. Stick around for traffic next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Trouble on 24 westbound this morning in Laverne. You've got an accident past Waldron Road, exit 64. It's off to the left shoulder. And then further up in Laurel Hill, 24 westbound at Bell Road. That's another crash scene. It's in the right lane. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.636 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends. Hope you are doing well, and welcome on in to Nashville's Morning News. And State Representative Scott Sapicki is joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline. And Scott, always appreciate having you on. You had, I don't know, was it a long evening last night with all of the yelling and screaming in the State House?
Well, it's never boring in the House. I will tell you that, Dan.
So effectively when that happens, then we're going to get into some of these specific bills. But, you know, when that happens, ultimately, are they escorted from the building? Does it cut debate short? What is the impact of all of that screaming that they do from the rafters?
Well, you know, the Speaker has handled it very well where he just has those individuals removed. And he lets them know that if he cannot identify who's doing the outburst, then he will just clear the gallery, and that takes care of the issue. You know, when we're on the House floor, Dan, you know, we're representing 7 million Tennesseans who expect us to get it right. And we need to be able to hear the argument. We need to be able to debate the argument. And we need to stay on the topic of what we're actually debating. And so sometimes the Speaker gives people latitude on the House floor to get off the topic a little bit and kind of get what's on their chest off their chest. And yesterday, the Speaker gave members a lot of latitude in discussing some of these very, for some people, controversial. For me, not very controversial. Pretty straightforward. We're gonna make Tennessee for Tennesseans.
Yeah, and one last question on this. What are they trying to accomplish? Because they're not accomplishing anything except annoying people, and they're really just, they're being shut down. It doesn't seem like a real effective way for them, the protesters, to get their message out.
Well, Dan, it's the protesters and my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, is they are arguing against common sense. You know, you've seen all of the people that are being killed across the country by people that are here illegally that were allowed into the country by the Biden administration. And what we're trying to do is clean up our communities. And if you saw what happened in Memphis with the concerted and the coordinated effort between local, state, and federal authorities, it was unprecedented in the country on how we've been able to clean up Memphis in a very short period of time with the support of locals and the local people. Conversely, what you saw in Minnesota, a very liberal area, a very liberal city, trying to protect these people that are here illegally, and you saw what happened up there. It is a tale of two cities.
It absolutely is. Well, let's then get to this legislation, which, as you said, for some is controversial, for others not so much. I mean, I'm looking at these. Okay, HB 0793. It requires K through 12 students to provide documentation showing immigration status to report to the State Department of Education. I'm going to be honest with you. How come we haven't been doing this already?
Well, you know, we should be. And the bill, and I want to give some credit to Leader Lamberth. You know, he could not get an answer from the federal government on whether or not this was going to affect our federal funding. But we have a right to know who is in our schools and whether they're here legally or not. It's not for any type of, and you heard it on the House floor, you know, we're going to target these kids with ICE. That's not true. It is all information that is put out in the macro to just let us know. And here's why it's important, Dan. In education, in our budget in education, during the Biden administration, are students that were English language learners. That means they do not speak any English, and we have to provide extra help for them in the classroom. That increased over 300% in the 4 years under the Biden administration in our Tennessee schools. 300%.
Yeah.
That is an incredible number.
An earlier version of the bill, this is from WSMV, an earlier version of the bill would have allowed schools to charge, I remember this, undocumented students tuition or remove them if they could not pay. But William Lamberth dropped that part of the bill earlier in the session. Why did he drop it, do you know?
Well, like I said earlier, I think the issue was we were concerned about that federal funding for our, and most of it is on our free and reduced lunches. We receive about, 1.7, $1.8 billion a year from the USDA on our free and reduced lunches. And until we had a positive answer one way or the other of would this bill jeopardize our federal funding, with the way our budget is right now, we did not think it'd be prudent to go ahead and run the bill as it was to possibly jeopardize those funds to put our budget in jeopardy.
Got it. Here's another one that was voted on last night. HB 1704 would make it a crime to be in the state of Tennessee as an undocumented immigrant. It is a misdemeanor. If you're going to be picked up by police, you'll be charged with a misdemeanor if you are undocumented in the state of Tennessee. So does that mean that they'll be deported?
Well, we have that 287G program from ICE that basically what our law enforcement does is that they run the background on them. And in the bill, if they're found here being here illegal, then we can turn them over on an ICE detainer right away. And then ICE will come pick them up from our sheriffs or local law enforcement, and they will start the process of deportation.
I guess my question is, does ICE get in, and I don't know this, I probably should, but does ICE get involved in something that if somebody is just here illegally but they haven't committed any other crimes, then does ICE get involved in those situations? I don't know if they do or not. Maybe you know, maybe you don't know.
Well, yes, Dan. If they're here illegally, that means they entered our country and broke a law, which means they are subject to deportation.
And I hope that that is part of what happens, because I know that, and you're talking about it, the number of illegal aliens we have in this country and in this state has certainly grown under the Biden administration. So now, as you said, we are trying to clean up the mess that Joe Biden created. So there's also a bill, and you and I went back and forth on this yesterday, and I think this is interesting. It is going to address organizations or businesses that give material support to terrorist organizations will no longer be able to do business in Tennessee. So talk through, because I mean we've heard of these organizations, we know that this happens. Talk a little bit about the circumstances, the reasoning why you brought that bill, why it was necessary, and what's in the bill.
Well, if you look at what happened recently with the shooting at Old Dominion and the one in Michigan with the Jewish synagogue, there is history of these individuals that were given material support by 501c3s or organizations in our country that paid for them to go back to the Middle East to be radicalized, and then came back to our country, and now we see what happens. And so in the state of Tennessee, what House Bill 1884 does, it says if we receive information and are able to verify it, that an organization, a business, a 501c3 provided any type of support to an individual or an entity that is deemed by the State Department to be a terrorist organization, those businesses or those 501c3s will be prohibited from getting their licenses in Tennessee to do business. We just have to take a line on this, is because how radical this has become and how it's affecting our communities here in Tennessee now.
I know that there are organizations in Tennessee and all across the country that are very pro-illegal alien. Are there certain organizations here in the state of Tennessee that you are eyeing right now that would fall under this categorization?
Well, there are multiple organizations in Tennessee that the federal government obviously keeps an eye on with the Centers for Islamic Relations and things like that, just making sure that they're not providing material support And there's all kinds of court cases already documented by the federal government that has linked these organizations to terrorist entities in other countries. And so with what's happened with the Biden administration and that open border and the number of people that have come across, not only from South America, Dan, but from other parts of the world that do not like us, we have to just make sure that we are doing everything we can possible in the General Assembly to protect the people of Tennessee.
Well, I love, and when I first saw the story that the state legislature, Cameron Sexton and so forth, were working with Stephen Miller to essentially demagnetize Tennessee and make us as simpatico as we could with the Trump administration on illegal immigration, I thought that was a great idea. And I love that we're doing this. And this is part of the reason why I love living in the state of Tennessee. How is all of that going? How are we lining up at the Trump administration as these bills continue to roll out?
Well, Dan, it all started with the Memphis Safe Task Force, of that relationship that Governor Lee and President Trump had in supplying material support to our law enforcement and local law enforcement to make what happened in Memphis a possibility and create a blueprint across the country on exactly how you should do it. I think moving forward, with what we're doing in Tennessee with our illegal immigration package, I think what that's going to do is inspire other states to link up with us and start a groundswell of, hey, as a state, we need to take back our sovereignty and make sure that we're doing everything we can in respect to keeping our streets, keeping our communities safe from people that were let into the country illegally by a federal government. And then we need to really, Dan, we got an election year coming up. We need to task the people that are running for offices in Washington to get this immigration thing settled once and for all, Democrat or Republican, so that we can have a clean prospectus on how we're going to move forward in our country in regards to legal immigration.
Well, and you and I both know that as conservatives, we applaud legal immigration. And that's where, the media is, you listen to me and you and I have talked many times, but, the media, they always try to lump in legal immigration with illegal immigration. And that is, of course, a narrative game that the left plays and the media plays, and trying to say that conservatives are against legal immigration or immigration when in reality, no, we are always talking about the perils of illegal immigration. So I got that. I love what you're doing. We've got about 90 seconds left. Is there anything else that we're missing that is going on in the House of Representatives right now that people need to know?
Well, I would tell everybody to buckle up right now. Last week, we had over 800 bills in our committees. Most of those bills will be in committees this week. And then potentially in about 2 weeks, the House floor could be very chaotic with all of these big bills that are moving forward. So we're about probably 3-4 weeks away from having a shot to wrap up. And there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe, so just be prepared.
Okay, thank you. And I always appreciate you being on. State Representative Scott Cepicky. It is running a little late for traffic. Sorry, 6:48. Time to check the roads on WTN. All right, very good. As far as your weather goes, mostly sunny and cold and a high of 42. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. All right, so want to reset a little bit. The Daily Dan poll we did, and it was connected to a segment that I did earlier about whether or not you care about the conflict, the excursion, or the war in Iran, whatever you prefer to call it. There was some polling out there. Harry Enton on CNN said that I think it was only 42%? 45% of the people in that were polled said that they didn't really care about the war or the conflict in Iran. Far more people, understandably so, care about the economy. And I would say, then I said this during that particular monologue, you can care about both. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. But I asked the folks on YouTube, and if you want to go take the poll, please do. Watch us on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Twitch and 99.7 WTN.com. We have video now for almost all of the audio that I'm playing on the radio, and you can see Joan in all of her glory in her green shirt for St. Patrick's Day, and Sam, of course, in his green hat, and I'm wearing socks with some green on them, although that was the basis,
fake news.
the basis of much controversy earlier
Not
in the
much
program.
controversy. You have been outworded and verbally bodied on that subject.
Anyway, so do people who have taken the Daily Dan poll today, do they care about the excursion in Iran?
88% say yes, they do.
Okay, now, I've been challenged by one of the super texters, and I like being challenged. It's all good and well, asking me, why don't you do a Daily Dan poll on whether or not the super texters or the people that watch YouTube, what is their level of support for Israel? Because you know what? Earlier, we were talking about the issues that are dividing the conservative movement right now, MAGA and so forth. You've got Epstein, obviously.
Your socks.
You've got the filibuster. My socks are not dividing anybody. You've got, let's see, so we got, what did we do? And we got, of course, the excursion in Iran. So those are the big three right now.
Yeah, all that.
And the SAVE Act and all that. So, and Israel, I think, would be the fourth. And that's a big fourth. So the question will be if you, and we got to formulate the question right. So do you believe that the United States should still support Israel? We could do it that way as more of a policy initiative, or we could just say, do you as a Tennessean, or if you're listening from another state, we have many listeners in other states, do you still support? That's the way we do it. How about this, Joan? Do you still support America's support of Israel? I think that's a good way to frame it, don't you, Joan?
Do you still support America's support for Israel?
Yeah, I think that's a good way to phrase it. Yeah?
Okay.
Okay, whatever. All right, it is 6:52. I think that's a good way to phrase it. And
you also think your socks are green.
You know what? In the 8 o'clock hour, we can post a picture of my stupid socks at 8:35, and we can do a Daily Dan poll. Do Dan's socks actually have green on St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah, do they count? They count.
Clearly, well, you know what?
X at Joan Jones WTN. See the picture right now. Get your speech together. What you would say about this?
Orthopedic shoes included.
Yeah.
Joan didn't even have the decency to crop out my shoes. I'm actually very upset with you over that, Joan.
You would be so offended by your own shoes. I mean, they're yours. If you don't like them, you have the means to go get others.
It's just you pick the one day that I'm wearing terrible shoes to post shoes on whatever. Anyway, post it on and take the YouTube poll about Israel, and we'll do that at 8:35.
Some would argue you picked the one day that has a color mandate to not wear the color.
It is 6:53, and Joan, what is coming up in the news at 7?
Yeah, coming up here, the National Weather Service has now weighed in on what hit Lawrence County on Sunday night. And we'll also tell you what we know about the guy yesterday who engaged in that tense standoff with police in East Nashville. We've got some details on him coming up as well at 7 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. It is 6:54, and it's Dan Mandis here. I keep seeing over and over again in Dr. Horn's reviews at Vision for Life, it is his patients saying, I should have done this sooner. I should not have waited. I couldn't agree more. One of the first things, I'm going to admit, when I went in to go see Dr. Horn, I'd been playing around with the idea of doing surgery, procedure to correct my vision for years. I mean, it had been years that I was talking about this. I finally went in, I did some homework, and I went to go see Dr. Horn at Vision for Life. I got through it, had my procedure, and I was nervous. I don't regret it. The only regret that I have is that I did not do this sooner. Before my lens replacement surgery, I dealt with the constant hassle of glasses and contacts, reading and driving and working. Everything, it just felt harder than it needed to be. But these days, I can clearly see at every distance, and it's honestly changed my day-to-day life. So when I read the reviews from patients saying the same thing, I wish that I'd done this sooner, it really does hit home because that was me as well. So if you are dealing with age-related vision loss, maybe cataracts, or maybe you're just tired of blurry vision, they can help you today. Call them 615-436-2020, 615-436-2020. Find them online anytime. It is visionforlife.com, visionforlife.com. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out.
Good morning, now 7 o'clock, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. Yeah, that was an EF1 tornado with winds between 86 and 110 miles an hour that hit Bonnertown in Lawrence County Sunday night. 10 homes and 1 business were destroyed. No one was seriously injured. And the National Weather Service is also checking out claims of a tornado in Murray County. These ladies spoke to Channel 4.
I was standing in the middle of the floor. It scared me to death. I was standing in the middle of the floor and it hit my windows shadow. I couldn't move. I was scared.
I thought it was going to implode. It felt like the house was breathing. So it was just vibrating, and it felt like everything was going to suck into the house. I don't know how to explain it.
Roofs were ripped off some structures in Colombia, but again, nobody seriously injured. The man who barricaded himself in his apartment after allegedly firing shots on police yesterday morning is facing multiple charges now. 39-year-old Joshua Charlton is a convicted felon, wanted on outstanding warrants, too. Police had gone to his East Nashville home after a woman reported being sexually assaulted. It's a 1-2 punch for the nation's airports, a major winter storm and TSA staffing issues.
That blast of winter weather leading to more than 14,000 cancellations and delays Monday alone. The lines at Chicago's O'Hare, where more than 500 flights were canceled, showing the impacts.
So they rebooked me onto a flight to Charlotte. And I was going to pick up a rental car and drive myself across. That also got cancelled. So I've now been here for 16 hours.
This all coming as the TSA shortage, because of the partial government shutdown, hits critical levels, leading to nightmarish lines out the door at Austin's airport.
That's ABC correspondent Gio Benitez. Hundreds of TSA workers have quit their jobs after not receiving their second paycheck. In San Jose, California, 3 men have been arrested for beating up on 2 other men in a broad daylight attack. The men overheard 2 men speaking in Hebrew while waiting for a seat at an outdoor restaurant. Police say that's when the 3 attacked them, shouting anti-Semitic language. Investigators are probing this as a potential hate crime. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. We've got stock futures pointing down, but just slightly this morning. Oil prices have already fallen below $95 a barrel this morning, so that's helping futures along as well. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a crash on 40 eastbound side. It's in Lebanon. The accident reported at 40 eastbound and I-840. Watch it as well on 24 westbound right at Bell Road. Stop and go traffic up to that crash scene there. The right exit lane has been blocked off. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.706 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Good morning to your friends, and hope you are doing well. And Stuart McWhorter is joining us, our friend, Commissioner of Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development. Stuart, always great to have you on. I was so excited when I saw this story over the weekend. Actually, I think it hit last week when I was on vacation. But Kami Coffee is coming to the state of Tennessee. Starbucks is going to be doing, apparently they're either renting a bunch of office space or buying some. How does that work, and how did that happen?
Yeah. Well, good morning. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Yes.
You got your green? It's a muted green, but it's green.
I don't know, because my
it's at least green.
my cohorts here are claiming that my green isn't actually green, and it doesn't count because it's on my socks. We're not going to get into that. We have a distinguished guest.
Okay.
Anyway.
I won't debate that with you.
But you know what? I've spent a lot of green at Starbucks. And so let's talk about how that happened. I mean, they're talking about, massive amounts, hundreds of thousands of office space.
Yeah, it's we're excited about Starbucks coming to Nashville. The project is still, we're still working on the details of the project. So I can't disclose much of what they're going to do yet, but hopefully in the next 30 days we'll be able to talk much more about it. But it's, it's obviously a global brand. They're choosing to come to Nashville for a lot of reasons. I think they know they can get access to a great workforce. These are great wage jobs that they'll be announcing here soon, and first and foremost, I think that is something to celebrate. They recognize that they can find a great workforce right here in our state. And I think too, part of what we'll see is they see Nashville as part of their rebrand as a company. They're going to expand, across the East Coast, and I think they see, the East Coast and Nashville, particularly because of logistics and the reach it has to, the East Coast, I think is a significant reason why they're coming, but we're excited about it. And it moved fast. We met with them late last year, and they knew they were going to make a decision. We were competing with some other states. And
are you at liberty to say what states?
Honestly, I don't know which ones.
Okay.
They never disclosed which ones it was, but we knew we were competing. I could guess who it was, but
Austin?
Probably, it's usually Texas, Georgia.
Yeah.
South Carolina, North Carolina, a lot of our border.
The first time you and I spoke about all of this, and part of your job is trying to get companies to move here and in development and so forth. And we mentioned those 4 or 5 states, and it's always Texas, it's always Georgia, the Carolinas as well. Florida's probably another one.
Yeah, Florida's interesting. We don't compete with Florida as much on manufacturing projects. They don't land a lot of manufacturing type projects there in that state. They do other things, but big aerospace defense, obviously. But our bordering states are typically the ones we compete with. And what's happening too, I would say, just in the last year and a half or so, much of what we're doing now is really more of a national strategic play. We just announced recently this Korea Zinc project in Clarksville and in Smith County, and they're basically they manufacture rare earth minerals, and so it's all
that's a big deal these days.
It's a big deal, and that was driven strictly by the federal government's efforts to onshore much of this. We're competing with China. I mean, that's what we're doing, and we're competing. And so we see what we can do here in our state with workforce, with bringing all the right resources together to offer this up to companies that want to do business in not just in our state but in the U.S. We're competing. We finding ourselves competing with other countries in some cases. So it's a unique time in economic development right now. As we've talked about before, this is the governor's last year. We're running hard through the tape. I mean, we're not resting right now at all. We're really, in fact, I would say we're kind of upped our game a bit, just trying to finish some things we've been working on for a while, so that the governor can walk out the door on his last day, satisfied with all the things we've been working on for the last 6.5, 7 years.
One of the things you talk about, for example, Starbucks, a good portion of Starbucks leaving to come to Nashville, and is part of it because you think of Seattle, right? And so when I think of Seattle, and I visited Seattle twice, when I think of Seattle, I think of a once great American city that have just, because of liberal rule, they have ruined their city. I mean, there's homeless people all over the place, and they've got I can't think of one. I'm sure there is something good to say about Seattle, but there just isn't much. And so when you talk to, just take it away from Starbucks, but when you speak to these organizations that are moving from these kinds of cities, do they talk about the employees and the fact that if they're moving employees, say, from the state of Washington to Tennessee? I know that there's been a lot of people that have said that they were happy to move with their company away from that kind of a city or that kind of a state that might have low quality of life and high state income tax.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think one thing that's really important in the Starbucks project is that their plans are to hire Tennesseans. This is not, some mass exodus from Seattle or Washington. I think they're going to maintain what they have there. This is an expansion, though I'm sure have some high executives here. But for the most part, I think part of the reason why they chose Nashville is because they know they can hire some really good folks to work for their company and have access to a workforce. But you're right. I think, conversations with CEOs about why they're choosing to expand or relocate, it's a combination of a lot of things. But really, I think what it comes down to, outside of what makes Tennessee such a great place to do business from a regulatory tax perspective, I think we're checking a lot of boxes that make us business friendly. We get lots of accolades for that. But I think executives find that this is just a great place to raise a family, and they can access to, schools. They have access to a cost of living that's reasonable and oftentimes well below what they're paying to live somewhere else. It's a function of safety. They feel like they can walk outside their office building or to their car and not feel threatened. Those are all really important things, and there's really important things we have to keep our eye on. I think about what's going on in Memphis as an example. I mean, that matters. That these things matter to companies, these CEOs who are investing hundreds of millions and in some case billions of dollars in our state. We have to stay focused on these things. And I think, a combination of the things that Governor Lee has been able to do over the last 7 years, but really what's gotten us here to this point of decades of these kinds of really strong leadership, both fiscally and, policy-wise, regulatory-wise, has got us to where we are as a state. I think it's important that we maintain that. And, there's a lot of things going on I'm sure we may talk about, but that's generally what we hear when we're talking to these CEOs. And, we've got a great product to sell. And I think at the end of the day, as the governor says often, is, the states with the workers will the states that win. And we have to make sure that we're investing in training and upskilling our students and workforce, adults that are relearning.
You and I have spoken about the Tennessee Promise before.
That's right.
Such a huge fan of the Tennessee Promise. Okay, coming up, you mentioned that Governor Lee is on his way out. So what I'm going to ask you because I know you're not into endorsing candidates and all that stuff, but as Governor Lee transitions out of the governor's office, we have Monty Fritz, we've got John Rose, we've got Marsha Blackburn, but the principles that Governor Lee has used to bring in so many companies, do you find that those principles, are they going to be safe as the new governor comes in? We're going to talk about that. It is 7:15. Time to check the roads on WTN. Mostly sunny today, cold and a high of 42. So, Governor Lee on his way out. We don't know who the next governor is going to be. I think a lot of people have an assumption as to who the governor is going to be. I'm not going to get into that. But do you feel like all of those principles will remain with the state of Tennessee so that we can continue to build?
Yeah, I think, we've got a state that has been led, as I mentioned earlier, we've had just good conservative fiscal management of our state, from a policy perspective. And again, sort of wearing the economic development hat, we've been a state that's been very focused on being business friendly. Governor Lee, as he followed Governor Haslam, was the first time, I believe, in state history to have a Republican following another Republican governor. Now we're going to, continue to break this record, or establish a record, not break it, but establish, something else with another. Obviously, we're going to have a Republican governor.
Yeah.
And I do believe with a Republican governor in office in the executive branch, as well as our legislature and being a supermajority, those things will continue. I think Tennessee has just been so fortunate to have had governors that really have come from a business perspective over the last, you can look at the last 3 governors we've had, including Governor Lee is one of those. I think what's happening, and as states are getting more control, and the federal government is, at least this administration, Trump administration, is really trying to empower states. I think knowing how Washington works and having the relationships in D.C. actually matter.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would have said that, 5 or 10 years ago, as much so, but I do think it matters. So I think, our candidates, they, at least 2 of the 3, bring that perspective to the table. I know that Marcia Blackburn has been serving our state for a while, and she has had so many different roles in leading our state. And so, I just think, Tennessee, I think the future of Tennessee is bright. We've got some candidates that care deeply about our state. We have legislators that care deeply about our state, and we have people who, work and live that aren't involved in government that care about our state. And I think we're in a good place.
Do you think that the biggest opportunity right now for the state of Tennessee, is it AI?
Well, I think it's one of many things. AI is such a unique topic. I mean, it crosses every industry, and it is an industry in of itself. So it's all the above. And so it does. But we're looking at areas like pharmaceutical and biotech. We have done some things in the state in that regard, but I believe, for the same reasons I mentioned earlier, the federal government is looking to onshore, much of that.
We have so many of the ingredients made in China.
That's right.
We are leaving,
that's right,
as a nation. We're leaving our nation vulnerable to the Chinese.
We are, and you could argue the same with aerospace and defense. Same argument. And these are things that we're beginning to get more activity in terms of industry. We also are looking at how we can take advantage of what we have in our state with quantum supercomputing and quantum computing in Chattanooga and Oak Ridge National Labs. We have, hopefully in the next 3 or 4 weeks, the budget will get passed. We have some dollars set aside to build out the quantum network, the infrastructure itself. We believe we have an advantage as a state with what we have. Not many people really understand quantum computing. I'm not a quantum computing, expert or engineer whatsoever, but we recognize we have something really valuable here. We need to be investing, in the infrastructure, and we're doing that. That, again, is an industry, but it's also something that impacts all industries in terms of their ability to compete. And so those are areas that we're focused on.
I'm gonna throw you a curveball.
All right.
So somebody's listening right now with their kids in the car, and their son or daughter is 15, 16 years old. They're trying to decide on a career. They want to raise a family in Tennessee. What would you tell them, based on your experience? What should they learn as far as either trade school or college goes to ensure that they have a job heading into this future?
Oh, it's a great question. I mean, I have a 15-year-old at home.
Do you really?
I do,
okay, so what do you tell them? Because I got a 12-year-old at home, and he's brilliant on the computer, better than me and his mom combined. So
right. Oh yeah, no, it's amazing what these kids can do these days. When I was 15 years old, I wasn't nearly that. We didn't have access to the things that they have today. It's a great question. I think a lot of it is around just, where, where opportunity may, if opportunity wasn't really a factor and you could really, have access to pretty much anything. I think that the good news is if college, a 4-year institution's not the answer for a family or a child, that's fine. In fact, I'd argue that maybe it could be one of the best career pathways to go to a technical degree. We've invested as a state heavily in our technical schools across the state, and there are companies coming here that are paying 6-figure, salaries to those types of jobs, people coming out of those technical schools. And also, you're able to stack these credentials, and there's a lot of talk right now in education, higher education, about how you can actually stack these credentials and get a degree. You spend less time in the classroom and less money in some cases. So, I think it really comes down to what a child really wants to do. But I would say, kind of to your question, with AI and supercomputing, but AI in particular, and how AI is impacting the day-to-day of jobs of individuals, and you read about how certain jobs were going to be eliminated or reduced, at least significantly, that's real. And I think kids that are 15, 16, 17 years old that are thinking about what they want to do, or clearly they need to be thinking about how AI impacts a career. I tell mine, don't be thinking about something that could be no longer an opportunity in 2, 3, 4 years. I mean, you're going to spend a lot of time in, learning something that's not going to exist.
Right.
It's probably even less time than that. So, it's an interesting time. I don't know if I'd wish I was 15 years old trying to go into the workforce right now. I like kind of where I am, at almost 58, but it is an exciting time. And I think Tennessee, what's really good about families that live in Tennessee is that there's so much opportunity.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to go anywhere. You can go get your technical degree. You can go get your 4-year degree, and you don't have to leave our state. There's so much opportunity now, unless you just want to go for a year or two and come home. But I think we've been able to do some things in our state over the last 5 and 10 years that really provide opportunity for any and all.
How about nuclear energy?
Yeah, nuclear has been keeping us busy. We started this journey, at least in earnest, with our department in 2023. The governor put some dollars in the budget. The legislature, supported that. We've been able to incentivize some projects, global companies to come to Oak Ridge, mostly to Oak Ridge. That is picking up. The federal government now is looking at states to create these nuclear innovation campuses. And we feel confident we're going to be in the mix on that. I mean, we're talking billions of dollars of investment that's going to come to our state, and we're really excited about that. It's generational changing what can happen there. And I say Oak Ridge, it's really statewide. It's really regional. It's beyond just the borders of our state. But because of Oak Ridge and the Manhattan Project, you've got a community that understands the value of what is going on in new nuclear. They accept, for the most part, they're accepting what comes along with that. They just understand it, and there's a workforce there. Do you think the South is the region in America where things are happening, great things are happening? Is there other regions that can compete with our region? Well, I think the Southeast is winning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's evident in all it's not just my opinion. The statistics will show you that, we're winning as a region of, it's all states that touch us are all seeing significant growth. We actually just saw a statistic the other day that Tennessee ranked number 1 in the Southeast and in the U.S. on workforce growth. So, it was as a percentage of growth year over year. We've had more working individuals come into the state. It's not just all in migration. This is just also folks that are graduating and taking a job here in our state. But we've seen the most growth as any state. But if you look at all states that border us, they've seen significant growth as well. You see the U-Haul stats and all the wallet hubs, they all do these things. And, but it's based on some statistics they're looking at, and, it's true. And I think, generally speaking, it's all the things we've talked about. It's a quality of life, it's a cost of living, it's policy, it's politics. People generally want to be a place where they want to raise a family and have a good job and live in a safe and work in a safe neighborhood or city.
Have you seen, we've only got 60 seconds left. Have you seen, though, in your time that the investments that we have made have paid off twofold, threefold, fourfold?
Yeah, it's depends on what you look at.
Yeah,
but,
of course.
Yeah, we track it all.
What's the best investment that we've made?
Wow. I mean, I still feel strongly about what's going on in West Tennessee with Blue Oval City. That's Ford and SK, the battery operator. Then they've had to pivot.
Yes.
But they pivoted.
That's and I keep, because there are a lot of haters on that project in this audience, which I respect. But the fact that they are able to pivot depending on what is going on with the auto industry, I think is a testament to how good that facility is.
That's right. Yeah, and it's Ford's a global brand. I mean, they're going to weather this storm. All automotive manufacturers are going through some, headwinds for sure. But I think, you're talking 5,000, 6,000 jobs. You're talking about, a number of suppliers that are going to come to our state. You're talking about at least 10, maybe a dozen counties in that region that are all going to see growth. I don't know what there is to hate about that, honestly. This is good. These are good paying jobs. It's going to take some time. But I think that's probably one of the largest, projects we've announced with the largest impact it's going to have on our state.
All right, Stuart McWhorter, Commissioner of Tennessee Department of Economic and Community Development. Always great to have you on.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll talk to you soon again. It is 7:26. Joan's got the news coming up at 7:30. Joan.
Yeah, coming up here, Dan, and the F1 tornado now confirmed in Lawrence County. Also, a compromise of sorts on inappropriate books in Rutherford County libraries. We've got those stories coming up at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Dan Mandis here for USS United Structural Systems. Tennessee has been in recovery mode since January. USS, they are here to help. If you've got flooded home, if you've possibly got a weakened infrastructure, USS, they can help you. They've been helping folks since way back in 1994. They've been helping thousands of families and businesses restore their homes after foundation damage or water issues as well. When you have moisture or water in your basement or crawl space, that little problem can turn into a massive problem very quickly. So if you go down into your basement or crawl space and you see some moisture or some water, you've got to call my friends at USS. Tell them Dan Mandis Show to reach out. 615-488-7855 is the phone number. 615-488-7855. They have been your local leaders in waterproofing and foundation repair for years, again, since 1994. 615-488-7855. The website, go check them out online, and you can see a wide array, a big list of all of the things that they can help you with as you continue to maintain one of your biggest investments, your home. USSTN.com. That is USSTN.com.
Good morning, 7:30 now, 7:32. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. The National Weather Service in Nashville confirming an EF1 tornado caused damage in Lawrence County on Sunday night. It was packing winds between 86 and 110 miles an hour. Meantime, residents at a heavily damaged apartment complex in Columbia, they also spoke with Channel 4.
And it just started to vibrate. The windows, the door, everything was vibrating. It was howling. I can't even describe it. We heard the glass shatter, and it was over quick.
I thought I was finna leave him. It was bad. Just tore up everything out here.
The National Weather Service working to determine if that, too, was a tornado. President Trump is still working the phones, trying to get other countries to help guard the Strait of Hormuz. So far, the UK and Germany are not showing support.
I was very surprised with the United Kingdom.
More than 2 weeks after he launched the war in Iran without those allies. The president claimed the UK was unwilling to help in the beginning. President Trump said the UK is now offering aircraft carriers, but that he told them it's too late.
I said, I don't want them anymore. I don't want them after we win. I want them before we start. I don't need your aircraft carriers after we've already won.
And Germany is refusing to send help for the Strait of Hormuz, saying, quote, it's not our war.
That's ABC correspondent James Longman. In Rutherford County, they're not getting rid of inappropriate books for children after all. However, the library board did decide to move 190 books out of the children's sections and into the adult section of its libraries. That move came after heated debate from residents on both sides of that issue. That is the latest news, traffic, and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 734 on Super Talk 99.7, the Wellness Institute of Nashville. This is where I went to get my chronic back and neck pain fixed up, and you should go there as well. They've got a great deal going on right now. 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. So you go there, you mention my name, you mention WTN, you do get that 47% off. If you have back or neck pain, sciatica, slipped or bulging spinal discs, herniated discs, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in the arms and legs, fingers or toes, they can help you, again, with non-surgical spinal decompression. That phone number is 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009 for the Wellness Institute of Nashville. They have all kinds of amazing technology that can help you a lot. Now, they've got robotic lasers, they've got anti-gravity machines, cryo machines, stem cell stimulation machines, all at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. And don't forget, 47% off non-surgical spinal decompression. That phone number, one more time, 615-246-5009. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, and the Wellness Institute of Nashville has my seal of approval on this great deal that could change your life. Find them online, painisbad.com. That's painisbad.com.
It is an accident this morning, 24 westbound. This is in Pleasant View. It's past Springfield, Ashland City. Watch it there this morning. Also, Bell Road in Nashville. There's a crash at Benzing Road. Another one in Smyrna on Jefferson Pike, the eastbound side past Old Jefferson Pike. And one more in Cedar Hill. It's on 24 eastbound before Maxey Road. The left lane is blocking that one off. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
7:38, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I got to tell you, Joan and Sam, I find myself with an embarrassment of riches today.
How's
because every single one of my interview requests came through today.
Nice.
I know. It's like I don't even have to work today. I got Jonathan Fahey on the Newsmaker Hotline. Jonathan, always great to have you on. There's so much going on with the Department of Homeland Security. I saw this headline, and I immediately thought of you. You ready? Fox News. Top DHS official calling citizenship test too soft as terror attacks renew scrutiny of vetting. Now, you and I have talked about this before. You were, of course, a former acting director of ICE under Trump administration #1. And so vetting, I think, and certainly under the Biden administration, has always been an issue as far as people coming into our country and so on. So now the question is, how do we make sure that when we do have legal immigration, that we vet these people appropriately?
Yeah, that's the best point, and I think we, to make sure we're vetting people in a way that not only keeps us safe, but also makes us better off as Americans, because the sole purpose of immigration isn't to benefit the immigrants or benefit the Democratic Party, but it's to benefit Americans, and if you can't achieve that, then the people shouldn't be coming in, and I think we sort of operate under the supposition that when immigration is legal, everyone has to say that's good. I'm for legal immigration, but against illegal immigration, as if all legal immigration is somehow good. And it really hasn't been practiced that way in this country. We haven't been screening, vetting, bringing in people that are most beneficial to Americans, and that should be the sole question, is like, will this person help us? Will they be assimilating? And is there a minimal risk of them harming us? And those should be the questions. It shouldn't be, oh, they really want to come here and it's good for them. It's like, okay, that's fine for them, but what's it for us? And if you look at any other walk of life, if you're hiring people for a job, if you're drafting in sports, you draft the people that help your team, not the people that really, really want to be on your team. And there's a big difference. And I think these last couple of weeks have been an eye-opener to a lot of people that have been naturalized citizens, meaning, they came here as immigrants and became citizens. Not all of them seem to be loyal to the United States and have the same interest and goals that Americans have as a whole. And I think that should really, again, be a wake-up call that we need to make sure if we're bringing anyone in here illegally, they're helping us.
One of the problems, Jonathan, is that in some of these cases, you've got the children of, it's like second generation, right? So the parents came over, whether it be from Turkey, whether it be from Afghanistan, and now their kids are becoming a certain age. The two guys, I'm sure you know the story, the two guys that were outside of Mamdani's residence there in New York. One of them threw that grenade. And, they've been in America for years, and they were flying back to the Middle East. And, of course, no red flags there. But I think part of what I'm seeing, and I know that you're seeing this too, is that there are people that seemingly, it seems like on the surface that they have assimilated. They're not on any kind of a watch list. But then all of a sudden, you see that, they are throwing grenades at crowds.
Yeah, and that's really, part of that is just really scary, because how do you prevent that? And you would think by the next generation, people would become more assimilated rather than less assimilated. But it does seem to be, we've seen a number of these. And I think it still goes back to the first question, are the parents fully assimilated into American culture? Is the whole family? Because if they're not, and you have a situation which is going on in Iran, you have the potential for, people siding with the terrorist. And we need to prevent that. And again, we have the ability, the total ability to dictate who comes in here and what circumstances and what the rules are and everything else. And it's just so, it's really pathetic in a way that if you look at this issue for the last 30 or 40 years, you really, Americans, you aren't even allowed to talk about it in terms of what's in the interest of Americans. It's considered bad or racist to say, hey, I want immigration that benefits me, not that benefits the immigrants or a political party. And it's almost like no one's allowed to talk about it. And even though that's the most commonsensical thing, and I don't know if you've seen the Phil Hartman clip floating around the internet recently, but he talked about this in the 1990s about how you weren't allowed to talk about the issue. And now we have major problems because the American people, it's been such an elitist issue before Donald Trump. The American people were really shut out of the immigration debate. It was the elites, the corporations, everyone else but the American people. And the American people, by and large, bear all of the burdens and in many cases don't get any of the benefits.
Well, and I think, number one, I'm not familiar with that. Maybe we can find it, but that was certainly
it's worth it.
Yeah, that was certainly true in the 90s. I don't know if that's true these days. I mean, I think that we have seen enough baggage and carnage related to immigration, illegal and otherwise, that it bears a second look. I mean, for example, we could just go down the road. We've had not one, not two, we've had 4 terrorist attacks in the last couple of weeks since this excursion, as the president likes to call it, into Iran has begun. So we have those that we could talk about. We can also talk about the Somali fraud that we've seen in Minneapolis. We can also talk about a lot of the fraud that we've seen in California, in Los Angeles. And a lot of that fraud is due to immigration, illegal and otherwise. And so I think that there's enough avenues of discussion now where when you talk about assimilation, well, that's got to be, okay, what does assimilation mean? Because it's got to mean more than just coming in and learning how to speak the language. It also needs to mean that your ass is going to go to work, you're going to find a job, and you're not going to rip off the American people. I think that also has to be a very big part of the conversation. Jonathan Fahey is joining us. It is 7:45. Time to check the roads on WTN. As far as your weather goes for today, mostly sunny, cold, and a high of 42. Jonathan, in that article, this is what it says. In an exclusive interview with Fox News Digital, Edlow says the civics and English exam, which forms the backbone of the naturalization process, fails to reflect the knowledge and assimilation he believes should be required to become an American. The test, he says, needs to reflect the letter and the spirit of what Congress intended. It's important for people to understand English, our history, our government, and the way the test is written and executed right now does not meet that bar. Can you rewrite these tests so that it instills some sort of an appreciation as to what America has to offer outside of just all the freebies that serve as a magnet for people coming in from other countries?
I think you can, and I think you should, and I think the test should be harder. Like becoming an American citizen should be harder. And you mentioned the Somali community, and it's remarkable to me that the Democrats have come out in droves saying how great the Somali community has been for Minnesota, and I think the Boston mayor said it as well, which is kind of interesting because if you had a society where overall as a whole, if we had 80% of us were on welfare, our country would utterly collapse. And that's what they're coming in at, 80% on welfare, not learning English. And it's remarkable to me. You should not only know our history, you should love our country, and you should speak English. And if you can't, you don't get to become a citizen, and that's okay. That's okay for everyone, right? If you're not willing to work hard for it and work for it, that's okay. It means you don't want it enough, and that's better for us to know that on the front end than to know a couple of years down the road when you're throwing an IED into a crowd or something like that.
Sure.
So I think it is so important, and everything we've done has been to just sort of to dumb down all of these things, to again, pre-Trump, be afraid to talk about the downsides of immigration, because we always hear all the platitudinal stuff, we're a nation of immigrants, and the inscription on the Statue of Liberty and all that things, and that's fine, but we really have to look at this in a serious way. Like, what are we doing? Is it helping us now, and is it going to help us 10 years from now? Because even if somebody might help us now, but then create a risk or other stuff down the road, it's still not a good bargain to bring them in. And it really has to be treated as a common sense thing. And where's our country going? What's going to unite our country? Things of that nature. What's going to keep us safe? But also, more importantly, the Americans that live here now, what will make them more prosperous? What will make them love the country more? And if we bring in people that don't love our country and suck away a lot of the benefits, it makes American citizens resentful and less patriotic as well. So it's almost like a lose-lose. And you see these polls on patriotism, and it's frequently Democrats have no patriotism, or it's like in the 20s. But some of that is just if we have a society that there's nothing that brings us together, nothing that unites us, everyone's just in it for themselves or their political power, it's not a very good thing going forward. And I don't see 10 years from now, if it continues, things being any better.
What's interesting, Jonathan, you said something about how there's nothing that unites us as far as immigration, illegal immigration, and all of those things. I think one of the things that has united Americans is the preponderance of illegal immigration that we've seen, and that led to the election of Donald Trump. DHS, Fox News I think I saw you on Fox News the other night. DHS is still not fully funded. I know that this puts us at risk here in America. As we've been talking about, we already have 4 of these attacks in the last couple of weeks. Clearly, the Democrats have no interest in fully funding the Department of Homeland Security. How much danger do you think we're in?
I think this creates an enormous danger, and here's one thing that doesn't get talked about enough. People that are seeking to do us harm or seek to do anyone harm, they look for vulnerabilities. They look where we look weak. So when we don't have our act together on Department of Homeland Security, on TSAs, they will look at this as more of a vulnerability to attack us. And you look at after 9/11, look at a place like New York after 9/11, that it was tight as a drum. It had this impression that you couldn't do anything in that city because the police were on top of it. They were working with the feds. Everyone was working together on the same page. So that really puts us at risk, that just the idea that we aren't united and that we don't have our act together. But the Democrats, it's amazing to me how important it is. I don't think there's anything more important to the Democratic Party than keeping illegal immigrants in this country. I mean, it's amazing to me that they're willing to go through all of this stuff. And it's like, I mean, a lot of people are feeling the inconvenience of TSA, but you take this 2 more weeks down the road and you're not even going to be able to fly because so many people will be calling in sick from TSA, and we are going to be more vulnerable. Areas like CISA, which is cybersecurity within DHS, that's a big vulnerability, and that's our enemies can attack us, through cyber and other types of things. And we need the best people, and we need them working. You can't have people that are working without getting paid, worrying about paying their mortgage when they're supposed to be worrying about keeping us safe every day. So I'm very concerned, and it doesn't seem like the Democrats, I mean, maybe they're going to break soon on this, but it doesn't seem like it quite yet.
All right, Jonathan Fahey, always great to have you on, and we'll talk to you again soon. Always great to have you on.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye. All right, Joan.
Yes.
We're going to have to fire Sam. So I tell Sam in the middle of that interview that we're going to have to move my live spot. Now, what that actually means is the host really needs to go down the hallway, right?
Oh, I see. There's coded language.
That's coded language for, the old man's having some bladder issues and I've got to get down the hall. Sam, in the middle of that interview, pipes into my headphones and he says, "Trickle, trickle, trickle."
Oh, Sam.
And I'm trying to keep a straight face while I'm trying to wrap up the interview with Jonathan Fahey. What is wrong with you?
That actually, it's pretty funny.
It actually was very funny. It was
through you.
Actually very funny.
And out of you.
Anyway, so it is 7:53, moving right along. 7:53. By the way, I've been admonished by some conservatives.
Why is that?
Because I don't speak for all conservatives. I know I don't. But by and large, generally speaking, because I said earlier that, conservatives, we champion legal migration, and we obviously are against illegal immigration. And, folks on the super text line, you don't speak for all conservatives, Mandis. We want no legal migration. We want just nobody coming in. Okay. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But there is such a thing as good legal migration as long as it's done in a controlled way. And as I was speaking about with Jonathan Fahey, we need people that can come into our country and can actually contribute. All right, I got to go. You stop it. 7:53. Is that Joan?
Yeah.
Oh, Dan. It's just
Jones.
too much fun, Dan.
I am throwing daggers at Sam because I think that he's the one playing the little drips. And by the way, there's not a radio person in America who has not gone through having to, white knuckle through a segment knowing that he's got to go a certain time and still having to go down the hall which is what I'm going to do now. 7:54 on WTN. Joan's got the news at 8. Joan.
Yeah, what we have learned this morning about the AES explosion that investigators are now saying. We've got that coming up for you here at 8 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
$7:57, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Dan Mandis here. I want to tell you about my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. When something goes wrong in your home, you want the team that shows up fast, fixes it right, and treats you like family. Now, that is my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. I have been a customer of theirs for years. They are your trusted pros for total home comfort. Right now is the perfect time to upgrade. When you purchase a 16-SEER high-efficiency HVAC system or a whole home repipe, Busy Bee is going to give you a Yeti Tundra 45 cooler absolutely free. And this month only, Busy Bee has TVA rebates available for tune-ups and unit replacements. Even better, their team files all the paperwork for you, so there's no hassle and no headaches. And if you want even more savings, you can join the Beehive Club. Membership is going to give you all kinds of discounted repairs and priority scheduling, free annual HVAC and plumbing checks, and a whole lot more. You also get the peace of mind knowing that your equipment is always running at its best. It is the easiest way to save money and avoid breakdowns and protect your home. Call Busy Bee today. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. 615-775-7833. 615-775-7833. BusyBeeHVAC.com.
Good morning. I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. New information today about the explosion at the munitions company AES in October. WSMV4's Hunter Hoagland on what investigators say now about their findings.
Investigators now say the explosive started inside a building where workers were making commercial explosive charges. We've just learned here tonight that that building where this all happened did not have any working sprinklers or fire protection systems.
Investigators say about 23,000 pounds of explosive material detonated and that blast was powerful enough to be registered as an earthquake. Immigration and Customs Enforcement will likely appeal a judge's decision today that granted a $10,000 bond to Estefany Rodriguez. She's the Spanish-language TV reporter detained by ICE last week for overstaying her visa for more than 5 years. Her husband, Alejandro Medina.
As a heartbroken and worried husband, I'm hoping and praying that Estefany comes home soon and we're able to proceed with the adjustments of status process for her to become a permanent resident and eventually a citizen.
Now, he was reading that statement, and it's not clear who wrote it for him. Rodriguez is still being detained. ICE considers her a flight risk. So where's the beef? Well, it might still be on the ranch. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
At the top of the supply chain sit cattle ranchers like Dallas Vaughn. He says the strike at the JBS facility in Greeley, Colorado was telegraphed well in advance.
For them to actually go on strike, I don't think it was a surprise.
And he still expects to sell his cattle to JBS.
They'll just simply go to another JBS plant that's not on strike.
The beef supply may also be crippled by 4 wildfires burning in grassland in Nebraska. More than 700,000 acres have burned so far, prompting a state emergency declaration. The grasslands are mostly for cattle grazing, so those ranchers have been forced to move their cattle sometimes hundreds of miles away. And Jasmine Crockett is defending her longtime bodyguard, even after police revealed that he was a fugitive wanted on several felony warrants, a parole violation, and who was wanted for impersonating an officer. Police released this video of the moment that Diamond Robinson was shot to death after pulling a gun on police.
Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Put your hand up. Don't reach. Don't do it. Don't do it.
At that moment, he was shot. After his death, Jasmine Crockett said that she was mourning his loss and blamed loopholes in the hiring process for Robinson being able to sneak through and work for the Congresswoman for years.
What?
Yep. She also said his past doesn't fit the person she knew.
So this guy worked for her, and he had a criminal record.
Oh, he had a long criminal record. Long criminal record. Wanted on several felony warrants, a parole violation warrant, an extensive criminal record with arrest for 7 instances of theft between 2009 and 2017. He was impersonating an officer. He got chased by police that night because he was speeding, and they had to chase him to stop him. And that's when he's in the garage, and they tell him to get out of the car. And
I got to ask, what loophole is?
Yeah.
I mean, if you've either, I don't know. But you've either got a criminal record or you don't.
Right. Exactly.
So they clearly, I think probably he was working under like maybe a different identity.
He called himself Michael, and his name was Diamond.
Diamond? So his real name was Michael?
His real name is Diamond.
His real name is Diamond, and he changed his name to Michael.
Michael.
Kind of like
people be sexting.
Kind of like Michelle. No, kind of like Michael turned his name into Michelle. That's an Obama joke.
Yes, I know.
Whatever.
Yeah.
It was a bad joke, and it would have been slightly better if I'd been able to pull it off. But it's new math. Anyway, moving right along.
Let's do market numbers, shall we? Market numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Right now, things are pointing up. The Dow futures are plus 130. That is the latest news. We've got your traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News. Got a closure this morning in Hermitage. It's on Central Pike at Old Hickory Boulevard. They've closed it off because of a crash, and you've got police out there directing traffic around it. Bell Road in Nashville at Benzing Road, that's the scene of an accident. Westbound 24 in Pleasant View. It's an accident just past Springfield, Ashland City. A couple of problems here. We've got 40 eastbound in Hillwood before Charlotte Pike, the scene of an accident. I-440 westbound before Nolensville Pike. The crash there takes out the right shoulder. A crash on 24 west at the Eastern Split, and the Gore is blocked in that spot this morning. And MLK Parkway, eastbound side at 24 in Clarksville. Watch yourself there. Another crash scene. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
.808 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, Joan.
Yes.
So, we have taken out, is it not one, but now two of the big leaders in Iran.
We have.
Do you know who CNN has on right now as a, I don't know, commentator on this?
No.
Eric Swalwell. Why would you, what is Eric Swalwell possibly going to say? I mean, that's a big deal. I mean, we are taking out these Iranian leaders, and obviously they're like cockroaches. So, you step on one, there's a bunch more, and I do understand that. But, I mean, what is Eric Swalwell possibly going to say?
Well, that he knows what it's like to get duped in a situation.
Ha.
Where another party holds more power and information.
Yeah. I suppose, with Fang and all that.
Yes.
So I'm still thinking about.
By the way, he's already said, Swalwell has already said that Iran didn't pose a threat to the United States. Yeah.
Yeah. Neither did Ling Ling.
Fang, not Ling Ling.
I know.
Oh, all right. Anyway, whatever to Eric Swalwell. This is the headline from the Daily Mail. Just real quick. Iran's supreme leader says the U.S. and Israel must be brought to their knees and accept defeat before any peace deal can be agreed to, Tehran claims, with new Ayatollah still yet to be seen. And for people who are asking us, do you know? Yes, we spoke about it in the 5 o'clock hour. The new Ayatollah, who is the son of the dead Ayatollah, rumors abound that he is gay.
Well, that's why he can't be seen, Dan. He's still in the closet.
That was actually pretty funny. Sam, good job.
It is rather, go ahead, Sam, you want to do it?
Ironic.
That he is gay.
Oh, my gosh.
Considering the fact that Iran kills people who are gay. So anyway, yeah, word is dude's in a coma and he doesn't even know that he's in charge.
Well,
That's the funny thing.
He's only got one leg, apparently.
Like
he lost
because
the
of
leg
because of the
explosion.
Okay, so
he's going to be hopping mad when he wakes up from that coma. Was that wrong?
You know what? Any other time I would say yes. But if we're talking about, the new Ayatollah of Iran, no, it's fine. Got anything else, Joan? Hopping mad and in the closet? You guys got anything else?
It was a joke that Joey Jones made on the 5 last night. And he can because he lost 2 legs. So
Joey Jones made that joke?
Joey Jones. Yeah, he's great with self-deprecating humor.
Okay. So some might say he has a leg up on the dating pool.
Yeah, there you go. Dun-dun-dun.
Are we done? Oh, I think we're done. I think we're done.
Hobble through this segment.
See, I'm trying to think of a joke and I can't.
We've kneecapped you, Dan.
Oh, my God.
Haven't left you much a leg to stand on.
All right, we're done.
He's leaning on us,
Oh. Sometimes we're a crutch at this hour.
How are you guys doing this? You're just like rapid firing handicap jokes. And it's awkward, but it's so funny because we're talking about the new Ayatollah, who is probably going to be the dead Ayatollah. how much would it suck that you're now in charge and you die before you even know it? You know what I mean? I mean, he's probably lived his entire life wanting to be the new Ayatollah once his dad dies, and he got taken out, doesn't even know that he's the new Ayatollah.
Can you imagine they have to set up a handicap parking space when he gives his first speech? Because they don't have a lot of those in Iran because they do away with people that suffer from things like that.
Well, here's what I don't get. So in Iran, and we talked about this earlier, but in Iran, they kill the gay people. And so, I mean, the guy clearly must have been in the closet, or his dad knew and just let it go, or whatever it was. But I mean, what do you do if you're in Iran and you're the Revolutionary Guard and you spend your time hunting down gay people in Iran to kill them or throw them off buildings or hang them from cranes, and now you're supposed to answer to the new Ayatollah who's gay?
And not just answer to, but wheel him around in a chair.
Yeah.
Take him to his dates.
Oh, okay. We're done. But you see what I'm saying, though?
Which, they don't have to go far. The barn's out back.
So anyway, we'll have to see what happens there in Iran. So we keep, we're taking their guys out pretty quickly. Like as soon as they are
One leg
announced.
at a time.
What'd you say?
One leg at a time.
Anyway, so we are moving right along.
We can't help ourselves.
It's all good. It's all good.
He's lying there comatose-less.
It would be comatoseless.
That's what I said.
You said toastless.
Well, but comatose is the...
Comatoseless, though. It would have been funner if you said comatoseless. Because he's only got 5 toes and not 10.
There might be like one guy in Iran that just has like a 1 foot fetish going on.
Okay,
I don't do 2 feet, I do 1.
We got to stop. Because, there's people out there that might have 1 leg, and I'm serious. We're joking about the Ayatollah because we don't like him. These are not, you guys are making handicap jokes. I don't find it funny.
Sorry, we were on a roll.
Okay, so we did a Daily Dan poll, just moving right along. We did a Daily Dan poll as far as if I get called into the corner office because of you two, I'm going to be really angry.
We'll just say you directed us.
No, I didn't. This segment completely out of control. I had nothing to do with it, which is why it's so good. Anyway, moving right along. Let's see here. We did a Daily Dan poll way earlier in the broadcast about whether or not people still cared about the Iranian excursion, war, conflict, whatever it is that you want to call this. And was the final number of the of the people on YouTube and the people that took the poll, how many still cared about the Iran war?
88%.
88%. Okay.
And about that same 87% still support America's backing of Israel.
Okay. That's actually higher than I thought that it would be.
Yeah.
So real quick, coming up after traffic, we're going to talk about how CNN, they did a poll, and they show that the American people, by and large, they're not necessarily all that concerned with the excursion in Iran. Details straight ahead, 8:15, time to check the roads on WTN. Mostly sunny and cold and a high of 42 today. Appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So, do the American people, number one, do they care about what is going on in Iran? And number two, is it impacting Donald Trump?
But so far, there's kind of been a little bit of a collective shrug from the American public. What am I talking about here? Well, let's just take a look here. Americans who say they care a lot about the Iranian situation, look at this. It's just 45%. Just 45% of Americans say they care a lot about the situation going on in Iran. Compare that to the U.S. economy, which, of course, is the #1 issue right now in this country. We're talking 84%.
Yep. 84% are more concerned with the economy. And, of course, 84% are more concerned with the economy because that is something that is impacting them right now. And obviously, one of the things that you're going to say is, all right, well, the war in Iran, it is not impacting people's everyday lives, by and large, if you're not in the military and so forth. And so you have a lot of folks that will say that the war in Iran, though, could impact our economy, and it is impacting our economy because of the rise in gas prices. But I don't know, does it surprise you that, really there's a big old shrug regarding the war in Iran? It doesn't, by the way, surprise me that we have a large portion of our audience that is very interested and not tired of talking about the war in Iran, because we are very politically tuned in and we care about these things and we care about America and we care about terrorism. We here at WTN, if you're listening or talking on at WTN, we get the larger geopolitical ramifications and the threat of terrorism that Iran faces, that Iran poses to America. So, for me, I totally get it. I do still care about the war in Iran, or the excursion. Still don't understand the term excursion that Donald Trump is wanting to use. But the big question is this impacting Donald Trump's popularity? Not really.
Perhaps it's not so much of a surprise when just 45% of Americans say they care a lot about the Iranian situation, that the president's overall approval rating is the same. It's the same. It was 41% before the current war in Iran started, and it is 41% now. So despite, again, all the hubbub, despite all the critics of the president of the United States, what we are seeing right now is a president whose approval rating is steady, and this has not been a big deal politically.
There you go. Joe and Sam.
What happened?
I didn't really mean to put my foot down about the 1 foot jokes.
Oh. Okay.
Huh?
Yeah?
Well, I mean, it's your show, and
people are like, wow, Dan, what a party pooper. Did I really come off as angry about the one leg jokes?
Kind of jealous that we were just rattling them off.
See, that's what it was. It was jealousy because I couldn't believe you guys are just like launching them at me,
Well, you heard about his new fatwa, right? Anyone who makes a step in the right direction joke will be executed.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway,
they told him being the new supreme leader would cost an arm and a leg. Turns out they were being generous with the math.
By the way, my way to put your foot down about the jokes, that came from 4791. So there you go. No, you know what the crazy thing is? I didn't realize I actually sounded that angry. I really wasn't angry. Although I will say that I have been called into the corner office for doing things just like this.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, that was before we came along, and we'll shoulder the burden for you, Dan.
Yeah. I'll one leg squat it if I have to.
Yeah? One leg squat?
Yeah.
Okay. 3046. At least we're done with that leg of the segment. Anyway, whatever. So, coming up, believe it or not, I actually have Joan and Sam. Not one, but two things for the crisscross. Is Chris here today?
I haven't
is he
seen
back?
him yet.
I have not seen him, no.
I think he's back today.
Yeah, he's back today.
But
okay, so he's back
time,
today.
is the question.
So I have not one, but two things that we're gonna have fun with during the crisscross handoff. One features one of our favorite people. I was going to say punching bags, but I don't want to be accused of, like targeting women.
Right.
If you want to call Joy Reid a woman, but
all right, Chris Brown.
Oh.
But anyway, Joy Reid has said something so incredibly dumb that we're going to have some fun with it during the crisscross handoff. Also, a woman on the street interview where she's going around and talking to folks, and she asked the following question. Well, actually, I've got this in a tease. Hold on. Let me do it. I actually prepared a tease for this. Hold on. Guys, tell more one-legged jokes real quick while I cue this up.
Well, I heard they were going to build him a prosthetic leg, but, they used all the plastics on their explosives.
Okay, very good.
If he loses another leg, we could just call him Matt and throw him at the front door.
His advisors told him to take a stand on the nuclear issue, and he's been taking a very aggressive sit ever since.
Okay, so clearly you guys have now gotten into Chat GPT, And what did you
Not
do?
for
You
a second.
At least
Not
now when
even
they
for a
chant
second.
"Death to America," he can honestly reply, "I already gave them the footwork."
Okay, well, unfortunately, I cannot find the little tease that I put together
Oh,
for this.
man.
So
It's okay. He can't find his leg. You want to get blunt and dark with it?
I was watching The Pit. That's my new show now.
Pit? What's
watching
that? What is
The
it?
Pit. It's Noah Wiley.
Okay.
It's a great show.
All right.
And it's got. I admit,
It's an ER kind of.
It's like ER, but it's new and it's a little wokey. But as everybody knows, I can put a little wokey, past, and if it's a good show, so I don't have to deal with all the woke stuff. But it's a great show. But they had one scene. Like the difference between The Pit and ER, and by the way, when I mentioned this yesterday, people were like, "Oh, we watched that show, we love it." So they're really gruesome with the medical stuff because The Pit is a hospital in Pittsburgh. It's a teaching hospital, just like ER. And they had one scene in the last episode where they're trying to keep this woman calm. I will admit that I laughed, and I felt inappropriate. But the woman comes out of her anesthesia. She doesn't know that she's lost her leg.
Oh.
And so one of the guys is at the foot of her bed holding the leg.
Oh.
And she comes out of her anesthesia, and she's like, "Is that my leg?" As the guy is like holding the leg, and they're like, "Time to put her under again." And
oh my gosh.
I'm telling you what, it is.
Had she just been elected the new supreme leader?
No, she had not.
Wow.
And I'm reasonably certain that in Iran that actually would not happen.
Is it like a dark humor kind of show?
I don't know if I would call it dark humor. I think that it is just a really good show.
Okay.
And it's there are some humorous parts to it. Actually, there are some humorous parts, but they're only humorous because I find them humorous. They're not supposed to be humorous. Like other people might find them disturbing, but I find them funny. Like, for example, that leg thing that I just discussed.
I would say that that's fibulous.
Okay, 8:24 on Super Talk. Joan, what's coming up in the news at 8:30?
Well, the Tennessee legislature advances a package of immigration bills. Also, Israel says, we got him, the man who threatened President Trump last week. We've got those stories coming up at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Joan. It is 8:24 on Super Talk 99.7. Contours. And listen, summer is but months away. The work to get that beach bod back begins right now. My friends at Contours, they can help you get it back with FDA-cleared red light technology. Now, what Contours does is they help you target those areas that you hate, whether it is your belly, your arms.
Or your legs.
Say it.
I can't say it. Or your legs.
Or leg.
I knew you'd do that. All right. Whatever problem area you have, they can solve that problem. No pain, no surgery, no downtime, just results. And, I usually fall asleep during my treatments at Contours. Real men and women from not only Franklin and Coal Springs, but all across Middle Tennessee have been checking out Contours. They've been seeing real results, whether it is those red light technology-driven facials or, again, the body contouring as well. Now, your beach trip isn't that far away, folks. Let Contours help you get rid of those trouble spots. Now, right now, the first 10 callers get a special introductory price of just $99. Remember, you see results or it is free. First 10 callers right now get that special introductory price for just $99. 615-236-9960. 615-236-9960. Find them online anytime. Tell them Dan told you to reach out. ContoursLLC.com. ContoursLLC.com.
Good morning, now 8:30, and I'm Joan Jones with your top stories. House Bill 793 passed in the Senate, make that in the Tennessee House yesterday. Now it's on its way to the Senate. Here's News Channel 5's Patsy Montecitos.
The bill requires public schools to request immigration or citizenship documents from all students.
We must know how many illegal immigrants are in the schools so that we can properly apply the funds that we have.
Under the bill, schools would tally how many kids are U.S. citizens and how many can't prove their legal status. Those numbers, so no names or addresses, would be shared with the state.
Remember, data and facts are never something that we should be afraid of.
And Democrats complain that they are blocked from getting statistics on school voucher programs. 3 Republicans voted with the Democrats yesterday. The Iranian leader who threatened President Trump last week has been killed in an overnight strike.
Israel says they've killed Iran's security chief, Ali Larijani, one of the remaining faces of the regime. Just days ago, in a show of defiance, he appeared in a public march when a strike landed nearby. Killed alongside him, Golem Reza Soleimani, the head of the Basij, the religious militia responsible for the brutal suppression of protesters.
That's ABC's James Longman. Larijani said last week about President Trump, quote, "Watch out for yourself lest you be eliminated." Market numbers brought to you by... He did. He said that.
You know what I like is, Joan, that you were able to read that line with a straight face.
Yeah.
Because, I'm listening to it and I'm laughing my arse off.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. He said that actually out on an open street, and then a bomb hit right near him. So tough times for that guy.
What was it that Maduro said? Come arrest me. Was that Maduro who said that?
Yeah. I think President Trump kind of likes those moments, those challenges.
Well, so do I.
Yeah.
That's great. So, all right, moving on.
All right, market numbers here brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Nice start to Wall Street. Dow Jones Industrials open up 361 points higher this morning. The NASDAQ rising 138. S&P 500 index is up 43 points. Checking out Brent crude prices this morning, just above $100 a barrel. It's at 101.92 at the moment. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Joan Jones, WTN News.
Thank you, Joan. 833 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Window Nation. Listen, if your heat or your AC is running more than it should, well, here's the deal. Probably you've got bad windows. You've got old windows. Your windows insulation is failing. That's where my friends at Window Nation come in. It is a great time to replace all the windows in your home. And right now, the more windows you buy, the more savings you could enjoy. With Window Nation, up to 50% off all window styles. Be sure to ask about Window Nation's financing options as well, including $0 down and payments for as little as $199 a month. A great deal from a great window company, my window company, Window Nation. So again, don't forget, up to 50% off all window styles and their financing options, including $0 down and payments for as little as $199 a month. This is Window Nation. A-plus rating from the Better Business Bureau and a 96% customer satisfaction, which is amazing. They've also got 45,000 five-star reviews. Find them online, windownation.com. That's windownation.com. Dan Mandis here from Mark Spain Real Estate. The guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate is the easiest way to sell your home. You're going to save time and make the most money. You can say goodbye to the stress that comes with showings and open houses and costly home repairs. My friends at Mark Spain Real Estate, they're going to sell your home fast and, yes, for maximum profit. Now, one of their clients, Steve, said that my experience, a quote, my experience with Mark Spain Real Estate was beyond 5 stars. Not only did I get an amazing offer on my home, but we closed quickly as well. He says, I'm so appreciative of Mark Spain Real Estate. And, of course, Steve is not alone. Mark Spain Real Estate has over 13,000 5-star reviews. They sell more than 38 homes every single day, making them the most experienced real estate team in America. Trust Mark Spain to provide the strongest cash offer in the industry and sell your home hassle-free. Find out what the guaranteed offer would be on your home today. There's no obligation. 855-299-SOLD. MarkSpain.com. It's where you go to get a guaranteed offer on your home today. That's MarkSpain.com and start packing.
Oh, that's me. Well, in Bellshire this morning on 24 eastbound side before Briley Parkway North, you've got a stalled out tractor trailer. The right lane is blocked off by it and a lot of stalled out traffic around it as well this morning. Demumbrian Street at 8th Avenue South. Watch it. There's a crash there, too, out at the airport at B&A Briley Parkway at KOC Boulevard. Watch for a crash in that spot. And then in Two Rivers, McGavick Pike at Two Rivers Parkway. That's the scene of another accident. Traffic every 10 minutes every morning on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I get it. So now we're going to continue with the whole leg thing with Footloose. Of course, you know what? Weird Al could do a version of this song. He could say, foot gone.
I personally would have gone with the Dropkick Murphys, shipping up to Boston.
Oh, yeah.
Climbing up the top sail. I lost my leg.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been the route I would have gone.
By the way, my friend Jody says, shake a leg, Dan. You've got to get to the next segment. All right, so Chris
Just
brought
one
in,
leg.
Just one leg.
Just one.
Just one. All right, so anyway, the whole leg thing has been. So you heard Sam and Joan pummeling me with leg jokes.
I thought it was great.
We were kicking you with them.
Yes, you were, and you know that
You came back with some jokes, though.
No,
You're about as effective as a one-legged man in an ass-kicking contest, but you brought some.
Nice.
Do you know what the thing is? I'm gun shy, or maybe I should say I'm leg shy, because I've gotten in trouble for saying things like that.
I love how you had to like dial it back and be like, I just want everybody to know if you don't have a leg, you're welcome here. You're heard, you're seen.
Oh, you're definitely seen.
We value you. It's like, why? Why are you doing that?
Because I've gotten in trouble before when we go down that road.
Was it?
It was a couple years ago, but yeah.
The national advancement for legless people.
Can I take a drink of my coffee?
What?
People watching on Super Talk TV have watched me try to take a drink of coffee twice, and you guys keep cracking jokes. By the way, the question was...
The N single leg LP.
That's it.
Which, by the way, he told the IRGC, I want the person responsible for this brought to justice, so they brought him a mirror.
Oh.
Anyway.
You got your Wally's Bean machine sip in. There you go.
I certainly did. So we have Chris came in today, and apparently Chris is now the rebel that we knew that he was. Chris has decided to bring in his own lighting today.
Yeah. Well, it's not just for me, for everybody. I did this for all of you. You're welcome. I haven't gotten a thank you yet.
Thank you, Chris. I don't know if there's enough lighting to make me look good.
I specifically Googled which lighting would be the best to eliminate head shine. So I was looking out.
You know what? All right, let's test. You want to test it?
Let's test it out.
Okay, this is such a radio thing, but you guys tell me. Is the shine still there? I've taken off my scally cap.
It's significantly minimalized.
What's that?
It's significantly minimalized.
Is it really?
Yes.
All right, very good.
There's more shine on the blank TV behind you.
Yeah, that reflection would not blind a bird flying aimlessly into the window.
Thanks, Sam. Anyway, moving right along. So thank you for the spending your own money and bringing in some. I once made the joke that, you know what, that does actually not quite as shiny as, previous. So thank you. I'm still going to wear the scally caps, though, because I keep buying them, and my wife is about to kill me.
Well, you did the price breakdown. It's a lot less to go scally cap than head powder.
It is actually, and so I can coordinate outfits. That's the thing that I actually really like.
We have scally cap by the season.
Well, you know what? I actually wanted to buy a scally cap for St. Patrick's Day, but
and
unfortunately,
what stopped you, Dan?
My wife.
So, Dan, would you do me a favor?
Yes.
Can you flash Chris the same way that you were flashing me this morning before the day began?
Whoa.
He did. He did, and I even caught it on camera.
Oh, did you see what Joan did to me? She actually, go to Joan Jones, WTN.com website, Twitter, whatever the hell it is.
What is it, Dan? The website?
No. Go find Joan on Twitter. She took a picture of my socks and openly asked the question, does this count for St. Patrick's Day? Because...
You got pineapple socks on?
Yes, I'm not a swinger. I'm not a swinger.
Isn't that the international code?
It is.
I'm not a swinger, but not for lack of trying.
Okay.
I'm totally kidding, man. I'm totally kidding.
I would totally swing, but I keep getting turned down.
How bad do you have to be to get turned down as part of a swinging group? You know what I mean?
I feel like some swinging groups would let you in.
You think so?
I think so.
All right, good. Giggity. I'm waiting for one of these two to say probably the swinging groups with one leg.
Dan with the swinging groups is like me with the street Mormons. Like, I don't really want to join, but I'm just upset that I haven't been invited.
I don't know where I got the pineapple socks. I truly don't. But somewhere along the lines, I ended up picking up pineapple socks. And
okay, so then the real question becomes, Chris, the little tiny bit of green that's on the top of the pineapple, does that qualify as Dan wearing green for St. Patrick's Day?
I don't know. All I know is my culture is not your costume.
Do you have green on, Chris?
No.
He's got green in his blood. Does that make sense?
Prove it.
Oh,
Prove it?
My culture is not your costume.
That's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
And I wanted to respect your culture, Chris, which is why I purposely did not wear green.
Thank you.
Are you Irish?
I don't know.
Because I've never seen you drunk.
Barely.
Oh, okay.
The teeniest, tiniest bit.
Yeah.
But enough for me to notice that you guys are culturally appropriating it.
There you go. All right. Let's see here. Got anything, Chris? I've got something.
Okay. Well, let's do that.
Do you want to do? All right. You know Caitlin Bennett. Obviously, you know Caitlin Bennett. And she is an influencer, and she goes on a Woman on the Street tour, and she asks a question. Are you familiar with this audio? I know you have to be familiar with this audio.
I know Caitlin Bennett, but I don't know what audio you're about to play.
Really?
Really?
She goes around, and she starts asking people, so basically, who would you get along with more? Somebody wearing a MAGA hat or somebody screaming Allah Akbar?
Who do you have more in common with, a Trump supporter or a radical Islamist?
Radical Islamist.
You saw someone wearing one of those red hats chanting "Make America Great Again," or you saw someone shouting Allahu Akbar running down the breezeway here. Who would you feel more safe with?
The one shouting Allahu Akbar. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Who are these people?
These people are insane.
Who are these people?
Who support the radical Islamists?
Yeah.
What is it about Trump supporters that you don't think you'd get along with them so well?
I'm gay.
Well,
oh my God.
Newsflash with the radical Islamists. I don't know. Queers for Palestine is just a meme.
Well, you know what, though? Their new leader is apparently gay and one-legged.
It's a lot more inclusive.
Yeah.
But you would get along with a radical Islamist? Yes. And you're gay? Yes. In solidarity with radical Islamists, would you look at the camera and say in solidarity, Allahu Akbar? Allahu Akbar. And would you say, make America great again in solidarity with the Trump supporters? No. What is a...
How crazy is that?
That's unbelievable.
Like I want to know, who are these people?
I think you need to understand that Make America Great Again is hate speech, but Death to America is empowering.
Yeah, to the left. It doesn't make any sense.
Bigger threat to America today, radical Islam or Trump supporters?
Trump supporters.
I'll say Trump.
Trump supporters in MAGA.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would say Trump supporters in MAGA.
I would have to go with the Trump supporters.
Trump supporters in MAGA.
Trump supporters in MAGA.
You see where it's going. I mean, it is 2 minutes of just all of these Fruit Loop leftists who just feel like they have more in common with a guy screaming Allah Akbar than somebody wearing a Make America Great Again hat. I think that is the epitome of TDS.
Do you feel more comfortable with someone wearing a suicide bomber vest or waving an American flag? Oh, obviously the American flag.
It is just stunning to me, and I saw that last night.
How far away am I from the guy in the vest? Like, is he within range? Do I get to set off my own personal firework explosion? Relevant question.
You'll have to ask Chris. He's the one that brought the example. You want to do a Joy Reid? By the way, I posted that video to my ex at DanMandisShow. Hear what Joy Reid said?
No.
Okay. So this is Joy Reid video. And she says that America is only slightly better than Iran.
Oh, I did hear this. What an absolute loon.
When it
this
comes
woman.
to women's rights.
Our regime has secret police. They have secret police.
Oh my gosh.
Our regime is oppressing women, taking away abortion rights, taking away women's rights in like 26 states, some states where they're trying to have the death penalty for having an abortion. They also oppress women. They have the highest rate of women who are in STEM careers. We're kicking women out of the military, out of university. We're saying that DEI means women can't be hired for high positions in the sciences.
Now, you realize when she says that, she's talking about trans.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what she's talking about.
We're
like men pretending to be women.
Marginally better, and we're doing it for Christianity. They're doing it for Islam, right? Yeah. So it's like we don't get told those things because it would take away the kind of American exceptionalism narrative.
So I can't imagine why she hasn't picked up a new show somewhere.
We're so oppressive being anti-abortion. Think about the women, not the unborn women, but the other ones.
Yes, exactly. Well, if you look at Iran, women have to dress from head to toe in hijab. They aren't allowed to get the inheritances that men do. They have to get permission from the men to literally travel. They can be put to death for being gay. And in Iran, the morality police can beat you if you are accused of having an affair. And I've read in some cases, I don't know if this is true, but I'll go ahead and say it on the radio, where if a man has an affair and blames the wife, she can get beaten. It is insanity. So this is just the absolute lunacy of the left, where you can't even, there's not enough mind warping that would allow me to understand this line of thinking.
There was a story of a woman recently who had been raped in Iran, and she defended herself in court, and she was killed for it. She was put to death after the rape because it was her fault she was raped. I mean, Joy Reid is a numbskull.
But Joan, secret police.
Yeah. Yeah.
Making people disappear. Yeah, for the people on the left, I think they do these kinds of things and they say these kinds of things, and it makes you, when you have people that say, "Oh, can't we all just get along?" No, we can't. We can't get along with that because that is vile and repulsive and offensive. And I'm glad that she's no longer relevant. Although I don't know, is she relevant?
I mean, I think
Joy Reid?
the radical leftists still love her, and they're kind of doing like the holding her up on a pedestal. Same with Don Lemon because they were canceled by mainstream media.
Oh, okay. Very good. Okay, my favorite video, and unfortunately it is a video, but it's incredibly funny, where there is a woman who is down on all fours, identifying as a dog, and she actually gets attacked by a real dog.
Oh, my gosh.
The dog attacks her.
Oh, no.
And she's telling the dog, let go, let go. And she's barking like a dog. So the other dog attacks. The real dog attacks.
Oh, my goodness.
Now, honestly, I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
Well, you know what the safest thing to do in that situation is, right?
What?
Take a finger and you insert it in the dog that's biting's rectum.
Yeah.
I saw it in a viral dog park video. It's the only way to get him to stop.
We've gone through this before. Would you ever do that?
Rape a dog to save a life? I think you'd have to.
Yeah. Okay.
Leave it to Chris to bring the uncomfortable moments before all of us. Thank you, Chris.
Well, that's assault. You know, you have to handle that.
I guess.
Maybe a two-legged Ayatollah could do you a solid in that aspect.
Maybe.
Do you know, but the funny part is this woman down on all fours pretending to be a dog. And then once a real dog attacks, suddenly she can get up on all twos.
She's a human again.
She's a human again.
Maybe that's the cure, especially for all the tranimals that we have out there, the ones that identify as another species. We lock them in a room with that other species, and when they get attacked, inevitably they'll be cured.
My favorite are the transracial people. They crack me up.
You know, maybe what she should have done is she should have just like sniffed the dog's butt, which is what dogs do, right? And then she'd have access to do that whole finger thing you're talking about.
No.
What? He started the awkward conversation.
He's talking about you can wash your finger off easily. You're talking about sticking your whole face back there?
So don't.
No, the face would be back there so you could.
I was also
do the finger.
I was also only doing. I was saying that as a public service in case anybody finds himself in that situation.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I like to lean into things.
Yeah.
Oh, apparently.
Bandit has never been touched in such a way. I want to make sure that everybody knows that.
Do we need to get him a stuffed animal?
Bandit, blink twice.
You point to where he touched you, boy.
Oh, man. 9388. When my wife is biting me, I got to do the same thing.
Oh. TMI, buddy.
4460 said, can we get back to bad leg jokes?
I'm sorry.
Dan did this, just so everybody
I did
knows.
not. They started it.
You brought up the whole dog topic.
Well, I did. I was so happy to actually have some content for this segment. And I brought 3.
How come you didn't bring this up with Brian yesterday?
Yeah. Because Brian never brings raping dogs to the table, Chris.
No. Probably would have been safer with Brian.
Yeah.
Dan's doing show prep Sunday night. He goes, save that for Chris. We'll put that in the Tuesday pile.
Oh, Mario says, knuckle deep in this conversation. 3139. Good grief, guys. Clean this up. Ridiculous. That's what I've been saying.
Yep.
Come on, man.
We'll hobble out of this segment here.
Okay. Joan was coming up in the news.
It's so boring compared to what Chris has got.
Well, you got 3 hours of Chris Hand talking about doing weird things to dogs coming up.
No.
Humane Society's going to be out front.
No, 15, 20 minutes tops.
Okay, good.
Okay. Coming up in the news, we'll tell you why a local high school teacher is now under investigation. Also, another car maker gives up on electric cars. Those stories at 9 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, thank you. 8:55, Nashville's Morning News. The Glock store. So you've done your firearms training, but have you ever wondered if you're really ready to meet the moment when your life and maybe the lives of your family members is on the line. Now, I'm really glad that I did my training at the Glock store. Their Shoot 270 indoor ranges. I've done it all at the Glock store. Low light, no light training, one-on-one instruction as well. But now, the Glock store, they've taken their training to an all-new level with their force-on-force simunition exercise. Now, what they're going to do, and Chris, you did this, they're going to put you in a simulated situation where deadly force may well be necessary to save your life or someone else's. And I was telling this story yesterday. You did yours, and it was within the first 5 seconds, you took down the bad guy?
Yes, and it is so much fun. I've never trained with that elevated of a heart rate. And you're walking into a simulation, but it absolutely kicks the adrenaline in, and it is a super unique way to train.
And are you firing? I'm going to go do mine today.
Okay. Pressure's on.
I know.
Just so everybody knows.
Yeah.
Murphy took out the bad guy with a headshot. Chris Hand took out the bad guy with a headshot. Dan Mandis, will you be taking out the bad guy today with a headshot?
I might hit the wall.
Okay.
Yep. You know what? You guys failed because you're supposed to go center mass.
Yeah.
Not a headshot. So I'll go center mass.
I went headshot, pistol sideways.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, pistol sideways. You went to Streets of Chicago?
I said, could you guys turn up some hip-hop in here?
There you go.
And that's what I went with.
If you want to try this, and I'm going to tell you all about it tomorrow, it's actually going to happen on Saturday, March 21st. Go to shoot270.com, click on training, and then classes, shoot270.com, training, then classes. Go do the force-on-force simunition exercises only at the Glock store.